Chapter 560A Story 1. Within the barrier, Qin Huan, Zhu Changge, Yun Shu, and other disciples, even Feng Moli, followed Qin Huan and insulted Yun Shao's sect loudly, which invigorated them. On the contrary, the expressions of the Yun Shao sect disciples were extremely ugly, and they died to tear the Xianling sect disciples into pieces. Yet, they were helpless. On that day, the Yun Shao sect's sect master was enraged after learning of what happened. Not only was Xianling sect not annihilated, they instead let Yuehua sect and Lingyun sect learn about the matter, and even the divine beast was heavily injured. Li Qinfeng was in a bad mood after being reprimanded by the sect master. If Yi Qingtang had not pretended to be a Blood Moon guardian and lead the Blood Moon sect masses there, Yun Shao's sect directly placed Yi Qingtang in the assassination roll, and the reward even surpassed that of the first person on the assassination roll. Whoever captured Yi Qingtang alive could select any Dharma treasure in Yun Shao's sect. Many Yun Shao sect elite disciples viewed Yi Qingtang as prey and were eager to give it a try. This was a chance where they could achieve instant success. In the dark night, outside a pavilion in Yun Shao's sect, the candlelight in the room shone brightly and emitted a faint aroma. Ning Luo was dressed in white with a chessboard before him. As Ning Luo held a chess piece, an unknown smile hung on his lips. A mysterious person who was wrapped in a black robe all over sat on the other side of the chessboard. This piece is still alive. Ning Luo chuckled softly. The black-robed man did not respond, seeming to be fully focused on playing chess. This group of Yun Shao sect mobs was of great help. The corners of Ning Luo's lips curled up slightly. The plan is brought forward because of Yi Qingtang. This does not matter though. Everything is under control. A deep voice sounded from the black robe. Only when this game of chess is full of variables would it be exciting, and only as such would we, chess players, be even more serious, Ning Luo said. As he said that, a smile that sent shudders could be seen on Ning Luo's face as he glimpsed at the door. Senior brother Zhua, after hiding outside my door and listening for such a long time, why don't you come on in? Ning Luo's emotionless voice sounded. Immediately, senior brother Zhua's expression changed drastically. This senior brother Zhua was the Yun Shao sect inner sect disciple who first rescued Ning Luo away. He initially came today to find Ning Luo to talk about assassinating Yi Qingtang. After all, Ning Luo hid in Xianling's sect for a long time and should have some understanding towards Yi Qingtang's abilities. Yet unexpectedly, there was actually an outsider in Ning Luo's room, and the two of them seemed to be secretly plotting something. Seeing that Ning Luo discovered him, senior brother Zhua's expression changed, and he left immediately. He must notify this matter to Holy Lady Yi Yu and the sect master. Ah! Ning Luo sighed. You came without greeting and left without bidding goodbye. What did you treat my place as? Afterward, as Ning Luo focused on the chessboard, his right palm stretched forward slightly. In an instant, a strange light erupted from Ning Luo's palm. Outside the door, senior brother Zhua was overwhelmed with horror. He could not control his body and floated into Ning Luo's room. In just 2 breaths, senior brother Zhua was grabbed by his throat by Ning Luo. However, Ning Luo never batted him an eye and smiled at the black-robed man. It's your turn. The black-robed man treated senior brother Zhua as non-existent and focused on the chess game. Junior brother Ning Luo. What? What exactly are you? Senior brother Zhua was shocked. From his memory, Ning Luo's skills could only be considered ordinary amongst the Yun Shao sect inner sect disciples. Yet unexpectedly, senior brother Zhua, Ning Luo said softly and interrupted him. Since you came to my residence, as part of playing the host, let me tell you a story. Ignoring senior brother Zhua's struggles, Ning Luo said as he played chess with the black-robed man, a long time ago, a true god descended from the heavens to the mortal realm. When she saw the infertile land, sympathy arose within her, and thus, she scattered her divine power to every corner of the world, letting those pitiful people see a trace of hope and a ray of light. Senior brother Zhuo was shocked. He neither knew what Ning Luo was talking about nor did he want to listen to his crazy words. All he wanted to do was to escape this bind and leave this place. However, Ning Luo's hand was as firm as a steel cage and barely moved an inch. At that moment, Ning Luo's story did not end. As the true god arrived, those once pitiful humans worshipped her and constructed a shrine where they viewed her as a faith. From then on, the power of faith was born in this world. However, as time passed, what the true god could offer to them was less and less. When he reached there, Ning Luo's eyes were completely cold, and his talking speed increased. Humans began to resent the true god. They began to think that she was no longer compassionate and no longer deserved to have a shrine. Ultimately, selfishness and greed bred in their hearts. They destroyed the shrine and the faith. Then, they combined forces to kill the true god and dissected her body to greedily suck the last trace of divine power in her body. Suddenly, the chessboard under the black-robed man crumbled, and the chess pieces scattered all over the floor. Ning Luo's expression returned to normal, and his eyes were indifferent as he looked at Senior Brother Zhuo. Senior Brother Zhuo. The true god offered her everything selflessly and exhausted all her divine power to bless the mortal world. Humans were not grateful and even sucked dry the last bit of divine power in the true god's body by cutting her up and consuming her flesh. In your opinion, is it cruel? Since that's the case, why must the true god be compassionate to these humans? They must ultimately pay a terrible price for their ugly actions. You are a lunatic. What exactly are you talking about? Let me go. Senior Brother Zhuo felt like he was almost suffocated under Ning Luo's strangle. What, true god? I don't know. Ning Luo. This place is Yunshao sect. You, better, let me go. On account that, you are my junior brother, I will definitely not spread this out. Ning Luo did not have any reaction at all. Fearful, Senior Brother Zhuo could not help but be submissive. Clack. In the next second, the sound of crushed bones rang. Thud. Ning Luo released his hands, and Senior Brother Zhuo collapsed on the ground powerlessly. His neck was already snapped, and he was no longer breathing. Very quickly, Senior Brother Zhuo's body was covered with a layer of ice which subsequently cracked and turned broken shards. It was as though Senior Brother Zhuo never existed in this world. When is the mystic realm opening? Ning Luo looked at the black-robed man. In half a month. A deep voice sounded from the black robe. I'm really looking forward to the arrival of that day. Ning Luo walked to the window with his hands behind him. The smile on his lips never disappeared. I'll take a leave first. The black-robed man rose slowly and turned into a ball of black fog in the pavilion before eventually vanishing without a trace. At that moment, only Ning Luo's lonely back view remained. He lifted his head slightly and gazed at the full moon outside the window. Under the moonlight, Ning Luo stood by the window in a white top, and a faint smile hung on his lips. However, tears of blood streaked across the rim of his eyes. The next morning. Outside a mountain range in formidable Heaven's dynasty. In the forest on the mountains, a fine gentleman in white held a folding fan and was walking slowly. His eyes glanced behind him discreetly. Behind him, however, followed a big burly lady whose face could be said to be hideous. The man in white was extremely handsome, and a seeming smile could be seen on his face. The slightly curled corners of his lips added a devilish charm to his almost flawless face. On the other hand, the lady behind the beautiful man was in a floral dress and had a blindingly big red flower on her head. They walked one after another, but the image was completely different. That exceptionally Herculean lady looked miserably at the beautiful teenager walking before her and instinctively wanted to stretch out her right hand to pluck the big red flower off from her head. Holy lady. This disguise. I'm afraid, it's not too suitable. Who could have thought that the lady, who was dressed so gorgeously, would actually be a dignified elder from the Blood Moon sect? Don't move. The beautiful teenager stopped him. Yes. Helpless, the Blood Moon elder could only obey with tears in his eyes. Look, you're much prettier like this, Yi Qingtang said with a smile. Yi Qingtang was originally beautiful, and even with a male disguise on, she appeared less dainty and more handsome. If they were not in this deserted mountain range, one would not know how many young ladies would be enchanted by that attractive face that stirred hearts. Rather, it was the Blood Moon elder who was full of tears at that instant. To think his original body had a handsome appearance and outstanding bearing. Since seizing Zhou Chu's body, he was already a little uncomfortable with his appearance. Never would the Blood Moon elder have thought that the holy lady would actually dress him up as a woman, with Zhou Chu's face, which part of it looked like a woman. After the war in Xianling sect, Yi Qingtang was listed in the assassination roll, and the reward for her surpassed the number one person on the assassination roll by multiple times. If she did not disguise herself and was recognized, the consequences would be disastrous. Yunshao sect alone was already difficult to handle, much less those powerful figures who were prepared to assassinate Yi Qingtang to obtain the rewards. Holy lady, how about I return to the wilderness? The Blood Moon elder inched closer to Yi Qingtang and was full of smiles to please her. However, the Blood Moon elder who was disguised as a lady was already ugly, and the smile on his face was simply an unbearable sight. What do you think? Yi Qingtang raised a brow slightly as she looked at the Blood Moon elder with a seeming smile. Holy lady, my current skills have just entered the early stage of martial qi level 2. It'll only hinder you if I follow beside you. The Blood Moon elder expressed his opinion. This time, the Blood Moon elder's words were reasonable. Yi Qingtang's martial cultivation had already entered the mid-stage of third heaven of martial qi level 2, and she possessed the ultimate origin skill. Even if she met someone who was at the peak of first heaven of martial qi level 3, she could put up some fight. With the Blood Moon elder following beside her, it was indeed a little hindering. It can't be that you're afraid and wish to leave me, can it? Yi Qingtang smiled. No. You must not put it that way, holy lady. It is my greatest honor to be able to follow beside you. The Blood Moon elder's expression changed, and he hurriedly explained. Since that's the case, then cut the crap. Yi Qingtang shot the Blood Moon elder a look. After signing the contract with her, this old fellow did not do anything good. He had always wanted to escape from her, though she caught him red-handed every time. It's naturally great to stay beside you. However, is it possible to change my disguise? The Blood Moon elder truly could not bear his current appearance. To think that he was also a top figure 1,000 years ago, there's no need. It's pretty good just like this. Yi Qingtang shook her head. All right. The Blood Moon elder piled smiles on his face, but it seemed way uglier than crying. The two of them circled outside the mountain range for a long time but realized that quite a number of powerful figures from Formidable Heaven's dynasty had already entered. Apart from the super sects Yunshao sect, Yuehua sect, and Lingyun sect, there were ordinary sects like Wind Moon sect and Qinglin sect and even the main ruling Formidable Heavens royals. The Formidable Heavens royals was formed by various small and large nations. Although they were all called the Formidable Heavens royal family, the main ruling royals were above other nations and were the true overlords of Formidable Heavens dynasty. Falling Sky Valley's people, Yi Qingtang's eyes were fixed ahead where a line of Falling Sky Valley disciples silently entered the mountain range. It's not simple. The Blood Moon elder suddenly leaned close and had a serious expression. Holy lady, almost the entire world knows that Xianling sect's mystic realm has become an ownerless mystic realm. That is a place of inheritance with a sex heritage that goes as far as thousands of years. Once it becomes an ownerless mystic realm, it will definitely attract thousands of powerful figures. In my opinion, it's better if we don't go to this mystic realm. To all forces, mystic realms were extremely tempting. The mystic realm that originally belonged to Xianling sect became a gold mine without an owner because Xianling sect was trapped, and it was without doubt that all the forces would not let go of such a good opportunity. After hearing the Blood Moon Elder's words, Yi Qingtang was in deep thought. After Xianling sect was ruined, the mystic realm's array formation was broken and became an ownerless mystic realm, which had plenty of destinies and inheritance. Hence, those powerful figures naturally flooded in once they gained news of it. Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder disguised themselves exactly because they wanted to enter this ownerless mystic realm. Yi Qingtang had already speculated earlier on that there would definitely be people from the super sects who would enter the mystic realm but did not think that this many forces would appear. Apart from the righteous forces, Yi Qingtang even saw a number of forces from evil sections. Strange, Yi Qingtang's brows were furrowed slightly. Xianling sect was, after all, a small sect. Although a mystic realm owned solely by a sect had many inheritances and destinies, it was not to the extent to attract so many powerful figures such that even people from Falling Sky Valley did not hesitate to take the risk and enter Formidable Heaven's dynasty. The risks and gains were simply disproportional. What exactly did they do it for? At that instant, a row of young people walked towards them from afar. The person in the lead was a stunningly beautiful young lady who appeared to be around 17 or 18 years old. Behind the lady followed several males who were all donned in luxurious clothes and had an impressive appearance. Every movement these people made exuded a frightening martial aura. All of them had at least entered martial chi level 3. 9 Knights Dynasty. Ouyang family's eldest daughter, Ouyang Qian, after seeing the leading girl, a cold glint flickered in Yi Qingtang's eyes. The Ouyang clan was the #1 family clan in 9 Knights Dynasty and was extremely influential. Ordinary family clans could not be compared to it, and even more than that, it was not weaker than super sects like Falling Sky Valley and Yunxiao sect. In Yi Qingtang's previous life when she cultivated in Falling Sky Valley, she had crossed paths with the Ouyang family before. In Yi Qingtang's previous life when she just met Ouyang Qian, she did not find anything bad about her. Moreover, Ouyang Qian cared for her, giving her a sense of warmth despite having been chased for her life by everyone. In return, she treated Ouyang Qian as her best friend. But Yi Qingtang never expected that Ouyang Qian had already discovered her heart of the demon god from a long time ago, and all her kindness was merely feigned civility while she harbored evil intentions. Ouyang Qian drugged her eventually, and if not for her eldest senior brother who rushed over in time, Yi Qingtang would have definitely died without a doubt. Ouyang Qian. I never thought that we would meet again. The corners of Yi Qingtang's lips tugged up and formed into an evil smile. Seeing Yi Qingtang, a chill ran down the Blood Moon Elder's spine. Could it be that she wanted to do something again? Miss, this is only an ownerless mystic realm of a small sect. There's no need for us to risk rushing from the 9 Knights dynasty to the Formidable Heavens dynasty, right? A male from the Ouyang family looked at Ouyang Qian in confusion. After hearing that, a sneer appeared on Ouyang Qian's petite face. There's originally no need, but I don't know who let out news that there is an infant fiend celestial beast in this mystic realm, and I saw Falling Sky Valley disciples here as well. The news definitely is not fake. Miss, I also know about this news, but a fiend celestial beast is reproduced from the ancient era and possesses both the bloodline of celestial beasts as well as fiend beasts. Moreover, it is said to be an infant. I think it is not very possible. That may not be true. There's no smoke without fire. If the Ouyang family can obtain the fiend celestial beast, the people from the Ouyang family had their own opinions over the matter of the fiend celestial beast. Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder exchanged a look, and a strange expression emerged in both their eyes. The supposed fiend celestial beast was merely a general term. It referred to the descendant of a fiend beast and a celestial beast from the ancient generation. Its bloodline was half celestial beast and half fiend beast, thus the name fiend celestial beast. People from older generations called it a slaughter weapon as its skills were extraordinary since birth. However, on this mainland where spirit energy was so thin, how would a fiend celestial beast exist and even appear in Xianling Sect's mystic realm? Yi Qingtang was in deep thought. She had never heard of anyone who obtained a fiend celestial beast in her previous life. Holy Lady, there's actually a fiend celestial beast in this mystic realm? Why do I not believe it? The Blood Moon Elder looked at Yi Qingtang. Not mentioning the Blood Moon Elder, even Yi Qingtang did not believe it as well. Regardless of whether a fiend celestial beast exists in the mystic realm, I will still enter the mystic realm. Yi Qingtang mumbled as she committed herself to her goal for this trip. Whether or not this mystic realm really had a fiend celestial beast had nothing to do with Yi Qingtang. Her goal of entering the mystic realm was only to obtain the Black Heaven water. Look! Suddenly, a male from the Ouyang family pointed at the Blood Moon Elder not far away. After hearing that, everyone from the Ouyang family including Ouyang Qian looked at the Blood Moon Elder who was dressed gorgeously. The girls from this formidable Heavens dynasty are really ugly, that male from the Ouyang family said with a frown, clearly shocked by the Blood Moon Elder's face that was as fair as a flower. The fact there was actually such a hideous girl on this world completely shook up his outlooks. The Blood Moon Sect Elder, then you are ugly. All your ancestors are ugly. The other people from the Ouyang family snickered as well. Even though they did not say anything further, the sarcasm and laughter in their eyes evidently expressed their feelings. Before long, the Ouyang family members looked away and walked into the mountain forest directly. Holy Lady, how about I change a disguise? The Blood Moon Elder looked at Yi Qingtang pleadingly. However, Yi Qingtang waved a hand casually and sized up the Blood Moon Elder's appearance with a smile in her eyes. A dignified Blood Moon Sect's elder has already surpassed ordinary humans. Why do you care about how other ordinary people view you? I think you are very pretty. Pretty, the Blood Moon Elder's lips twitched. Holy Lady, you can't be really blind, can you? How weird is your aesthetic judgment for you to praise that without any change in your expression? The Blood Moon Elder tried to calm his emotions and finally spoke seriously. Holy Lady, you seem to have some grudge with that lady just now. The Blood Moon Elder asked that because he realized that there was a cold glint in Yi Qingtang's eyes when she looked at that above-average-looking lady earlier on. Indeed. Yi Qingtang admitted. So do you want me? The Blood Moon Elder motioned, cutting his throat with his hand. Can you defeat her? Yi Qingtang looked at the Blood Moon Elder. The Blood Moon Elder's expression froze immediately, and he no longer uttered a single word. That lady was probably at martial chi level 3. Given his current skills, he would only be pressed on the floor and pounded should he meet someone at martial chi level 3. Let's go. Yi Qingtang waved a hand and brought the Blood Moon Elder into the mountain forest. The mountain forest was enshrouded in an extremely strange energy fluctuation such that one could even see the ripples undulating in the air with their naked eyes. After Xianling Sect's sect protecting array formation was broken, the mystic realm eventually landed in this mountain forest. Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder had just entered the place, but furious scoldings and clashes of metal reverberated throughout. Holy Lady, someone is in a fight. The Blood Moon Elder immediately said after hearing the sound. I'm not deaf. Yi Qingtang swept the Blood Moon Elder a look and said rather indifferently. The Blood Moon Elder could only keep his mouth shut and not say another word of crap. Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder walked in the direction of the fighting sound and quickly realized that the source of the sound was from a large-scale battle between forces from the formidable Heavens dynasty and the Nine Knights dynasty. Before entering the mystic realm, both forces had already suffered heavy casualties from the battle. The two dynasties were originally eternal enemies, and there had been countless minor and major battles. This enmity had long sunk deep into the bones. As long as the forces from both dynasties met, they would definitely fight, and there would naturally be deaths. Apart from the battle between the super sects of the formidable Heavens dynasty and Nine Knights dynasty, internal conflicts rapidly erupted among various sects as well. Half a day later, the large-scale battle finally calmed down gradually until everyone got along in peace. Everyone was aware that without the restraint of the sect's heritage, the level of danger of the mystic realm would multiply by 10 times and more from before. The casualties were already so serious before they entered. Once the mental demons really started, how were they to contend for the fiend celestial beast within the mystic realm? The super sects from the two dynasties were not fools. After a long battle, they finally stopped. Eventually, the members of super sects from formidable Heavens dynasty and Nine Knights dynasty laid a rule to temporarily get along together in peace before entering the mystic realm and to drive away everyone else other than members of a sect who were only allowed to enter the mystic realm. Everyone found this mystic realm because of the news of a fiend celestial beast. The greater the number of people, the smaller the hope of obtaining it. As such, the forces from both dynasties finally cleared the place together. Apart from the sect forces, those family clans and itinerant cultivators were all chased away. Meanwhile, ordinary sects like Wind Moon sect and Qinglin sect that were weaker than super sects still reserved the right to enter the mystic realm. After all, this mystic realm no longer had an owner, and it had escaped the suppression of the sect's heritage. As for how dangerous it was, no one could be sure, so leaving a few small sects here would help them to have a grasp. Wind Moon sect and Qinglin sect were aware of those super sects' thoughts but did not care about it. Once they entered the mystic realm, everyone would try for all they are worth. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Perhaps, the fiend celestial beast would be obtained by them. If they could obtain the fiend celestial beast, small sects like Wind Moon sect and Qinglin sect could override super sects based on the combatability of the fiend celestial beast. Although Yunshao sect's sect protecting divine beast was extremely powerful and unparalleled, it paled in comparison with a fiend celestial beast. From afar, Yu Qingtang laughed coldly in her heart as she watched the sects conceive sinister motives. Those sects' forces were truly indulged in the wildest fantasy. Not mentioning whether a fiend celestial beast actually existed in the mystic realm, but if a fiend celestial beast truly existed, did these people really think they could tame it easily given its combatability? They were simply making a fool out of themselves. At Yi Qingtang's peak in her past life, she was at the level of a paragon and could easily destroy a dynasty with thousands of years of inheritance with the flick of a finger. In her eyes, a Yin-Yang True Lord was like an ant, and even powerful figures above the Yin-Yang True Lord were required to give her a full bow and address her as Paragon Senior when they saw Yu Qingtang. Even so, Yu Qingtang still had to take a detour when she saw a fiend celestial beast at her peak, as there was no way she could enter a direct confrontation with it head-on. Yet, those super sects actually wishfully thought that they could tame a fiend celestial beast. It was simply a fantasy where the ignorant had no fears. At that instant, a Yunshao sect inner sect disciple approached them speedily and sized up Yu Qingtang. "Which sect are you from?" Although Yu Qingtang was listed in the assassination roll and her reward greatly surpassed that of the number one person, the alluring teenage girl had transformed into a beautiful, young gentleman with a devilish charm after the disguise. As a result, the Yunshao sect disciple could not recognize her. "I'm not in a sect or a clan. Just an itinerant," Yu Qingtang said gently with a smile. "Leave. Otherwise, you'll be killed." After hearing that Yu Qingtang was an itinerant cultivator, the Yunshao sect disciple shouted sternly. The place was already controlled by the forces of the two dynasties, and itinerant cultivators were not allowed to enter. Before the Blood Moon Elder could reprimand, Yu Qingtang stopped him and smiled to the Yunshao sect disciple. "I'll leave now." Afterward, she turned around and left with the Blood Moon Elder. "Holy Lady, why did you do that?" The Blood Moon Elder could not understand. They could perfectly barge in forcefully. Should they leave so sullenly just because the forces of both dynasties controlled the area? Yi Qingtang's lips curled into a sinister smile. This place is no longer suppressed by Xianling sect's heritage and is already uncontrollable. It's impossible for us to know how dangerous it is. Why not let those super sects explore and find a path for us then? By doing this, the risks would be greatly reduced. After hearing Yi Qingtang, the Blood Moon Elder's eyes flickered as he applauded and praised. Ingenious. It's really ingenious. Holy Lady, that's truly a wise move. The super sects forces of both dynasties treated ordinary sects as their cannon fodder and wanted to make the ordinary sects explore for them. On the other hand, Yi Qingtang was calculating to let the super sects help her and have the Blood Moon Elder find a path. After they entered the mystic realm and overcome the dangers, we will follow in at the end and reap the profits without doing anything. Isn't that better? Yi Qingtang smiled. Holy Lattice words are more enlightening than studying for 1,000 years. It is the honor of 3 lives to be able to follow beside you, Holy Lady. Flattery filled the Blood Moon Elder's face. Yi Qingtang looked at his sucking up skills from a whole new light. It was not about how his face changed so quickly but instead about how Yi Qingtang's identity which directly weighed on him. A holy lady personally handpicked by the Holy Lord versus an elder, no matter how bold he was, he no longer dared to be disrespectful to Yi Qingtang. Otherwise, should Yi Qingtang complain to the Holy Lord, he probably would not even know how he died. Just based on this sentence from you, I've decided to bestow you a big present after entering the mystic realm. As Yi Qingtang looked at the Blood Moon Elder who was increasingly full of flattery, cunningness filled her eyes. The Blood Moon Elder did not realize the cunning look in Yi Qingtang's eyes and was instead full of bliss. He was extremely expectant as he wondered what the so-called big present that the Holy Lady said would be. It had been 3 entire days in this deep forest, and the forces from both formidable Heaven's dynasty and 9 Nights dynasty lived together in harmony. The battles between small sects were forbidden as well. The danger of the mystic realm was unpredictable, and the super sects still relied on those ordinary sects to be their cannon fodder and find out how dangerous it is for them. The super sects of both dynasties did not wish to see the small sects suffer heavy casualties because of their conflicts before even entering the mystic realm. Meanwhile, for 3 whole days, Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder hid in a dark corner of the forest and concealed their breaths, deliberately restraining their aura. After all, the Blood Moon Elder was an elder of the Blood Moon sect, and Yi Qingtang was once a noble paragon in her previous life. Thus, concealing their breaths was very easy to do. Over the 3 days, Yi Qingtang secretly inspected the situation. Yunshao's sect had deployed a large number of core disciples. Apart from Yi Yu, there were a number of people whose martial aura was not any weaker than Yi Yu's. As for Falling Sky Valley, there were many disciples including Ji Yishuan and Mo Changkong. From all these forces, Yi Qingtang saw many familiar faces from her past life. Apart from close friends and fellow disciples from her past lifetime, there were also quite a handful of archenemies such as Ouyang Qian. On the dawn of the 4th day, a dazzling purple ray slowly emerged and condensed into an illusory screen. As that illusory screen appeared, everyone from both formidable Heaven's dynasty and 9 Nights dynasty was instantly energized. The mystic realm has started. Everyone enter it quickly. A powerful figure from Yuehua sect shouted. That reminder caused the expression in everyone's eyes to change immediately. Swoosh! Almost at the same time, everyone rapidly turned into shadows and strived to be the first to enter that illusory screen. This illusory screen was actually a door of transmission that was connected to the mystic realm. After entering the screen, one would have entered the mystic realm. All the forces from the 2 dynasties finally entered the mystic realm only after an hour later. At that instant, the Blood Moon Elder poked his head out and scanned ahead. There were still 2 disciples from Yunshao's sect, Wind Moon sect, and Qinglin sect guarding outside the screen. To prevent those itinerant and family clan cultivators to take advantage of the opportunity to enter once everyone had entered, the sects thus left some disciples behind to guard the place. Currently, there were a few sect disciples guarding the entrance of the mystic realm. 2 of them had already entered the first heaven of martial chi level 3, while the remaining disciples were inner sect disciples from Wind Moon sect and Qinglin sect. "Holy Lady, we should enter already," the Blood Moon elder said. After hearing him, Yi Qingtang smiled faintly. "There's no hurry." The powerful figures of both Formidable Heavens Dynasty and Nine Knights Dynasty had just entered the mystic realm, and if Yi Qingtang entered right now, she would only meet them coincidentally, and it would be difficult to get away then. This wait lasted 2 days. The disciples from Yunshao sect, Qinglin sect, and Wind Moon sect were considerably loyal as they guarded at their posts at all times without slacking off. Early dawn, Yi Qingtang shot the Blood Moon elder a look and slowly walked out from the hidden corner with the Blood Moon elder. They appeared before everyone and walked towards the entrance of the mystic realm. At that moment, the sect disciples guarding at the area saw an extraordinarily handsome young sir with an extremely hideous-looking woman in a floral dress who had a big red flower on her head. "Stop there!" A young disciple from Wind Moon sect immediately stepped forward and shouted. "Who's there?" A faint smile hung on Yi Qingtang's lips as she replied softly. "An itinerant cultivator." Afterward, she pointed to the Blood Moon elder behind and said, "While this beautiful lady is my servant." "Be beautiful?" After hearing Yi Qingtang's words, the disciples, including both Yunshao sect disciples, almost vomited. This male had such an outstanding appearance, yet no one dared to compliment his aesthetic judgment. Could his eyes be blind? The servant behind him is frighteningly scary, yet he called her beautiful. Looking at the reaction of those sect disciples, the Blood Moon elder wanted to say something but was ultimately unable to utter a single word. "This place is already sealed. Foreign people are not allowed to enter. Leave this place or you'll be killed." A Yunshao sect disciple said coldly with an imposing stance. "Does this road belong to your family? Can a sect be so arrogant?" Yi Qingtang smiled. "Then try taking a step forward." The Yunshao sect disciple remained silent as he sized up Yi Qingtang and scoffed. Then, Yi Qingtang exchanged a look with the Blood Moon elder. Subsequently, with smiles on her face, her legs moved, and she indeed took a step forward. At that moment, the faces of all the sect's disciples darkened. This person's action is clearly challenging a sect's authority. "You have a death wish." A Yunshao sect disciple hollered furiously. He raised his right arm in the air and smashed a hand towards Yi Qingtang. Immediately, the aura of a first heaven of martial chi level 3 filled the air as a strong wind stirred up from the force of his smash. Sensing the frightening aura of the Yunshao sect inner sect disciple, the expressions of the Wind Moon sect and Qinglin sect disciples changed, and horror filled their faces. Martial Chi level 3 was already listed as a powerful figure in the martial Dao, and they could easily crush anyone with just one finger. The 2 sects' disciples could not help but shake their heads. The moment that itinerant cultivator who did not belong to any sects or clans took that step forward and challenged the sect's authority, he was already a dead man. "You have a death wish." Seeing that the Yunshao sect disciple stroke, a cold glint flashed across Yi Qingtang's eyes. At the same time, a blood-colored sword shadow streaked across the sky with a clank. As Yi Qingtang's demonic blood sword was unsheathed, the 2 Yunshao sect disciples were slaughtered in an instant and died on the spot. "Holy Lady is indeed powerful. I admire you extremely. Being able to follow beside you is truly my blessing." The Blood Moon elder was stopped by Yi Qingtang before he even finished bootlicking. All he had been saying were these few sentences for the past few days, and Yi Qingtang's ears were about to rot. She was only this close to stuffing a piece of cloth in his mouth. The immediate deaths of the 2 Yunshao sect disciples caught the Wind Moon sect and Qinglin sect disciples off guard. At that instant, the disciples from two sects were completely dumbfounded as they looked at Yi Qingtang with eyes popped wide open. Their minds were blank as though they had completely lost the ability to think. The two who died were both Yunshao sect disciples who had entered martial qi level 3 a long time ago and were very powerful. However, an itinerant cultivator who came from nowhere slaughtered both of them with just one slash. Given Yi Qingtang's current skills, when she used all her cards, there was no worry as long as she did not encounter anyone at second heaven of martial qi level 3. Currently, ordinary first heaven of martial qi level 3 cultivators were not worth a mention to Yi Qingtang. Have you seen enough? Yi Qingtang's eyes swept across the dumbfounded Wind, Moon sect and Qinglin sect disciples as she spoke with a seeming smile. Her slightly curled lips added a devilish charm to her attractive face. Mercy. With just a glimpse from Yi Qingtang, the sect's disciples felt a chill in their bones as though their entire body had fallen into an icehouse. Powerful first heaven of martial qi level 3 cultivators were killed by this nameless itinerant cultivator with one slash. In their eyes, how different were ordinary disciples like them from ants. Strip your clothes, Yi Qingtang said coldly and looked at those sect's disciples with a slightly lifted chin. The disciples were dumbfounded for a few seconds. Right after, horror filled their faces as they looked at Yi Qingtang in disbelief. Strip. Strip our clothes? Could this person be homosexual? Even the Blood Moon Elder could not help but dart a look at Yi Qingtang. Isn't this a little? He really did not think that his holy lady would actually be so thirsty. Stripping 2 sets is enough. Faster. Yi Qingtang gradually lost her patience, and her brows were slightly furrowed. However, this frown sent a chill down the spines of those sect's disciples. The disciples exchanged a look, and one of them pointed to another. You'll strip. Don't you like men? You'll strip. The disciple who was being pointed at was ashamed and resentful. He looked up at Yi Qingtang's incomparably handsome face, and the indignant expression on his face turned into a thought-provoking shyness. Yi Qingtang looked at him blankly. She merely wanted the clothes of the disciples so that it would be easier to pass off as other sects' disciples when she entered the mystic realm. Could it be that these two sects' disciples thought wrongly and mistook that she, sometime later, Yi Qingtang finally obtained the clothes of the disciples? After wearing it, she leaped into the screen with the Blood Moon Elder, leaving those disarrayed disciples from the two sects behind. There was a space realm in the screen, and the interior was like a mysterious tunnel representing the very intersection of time and space. One would not be able to feel the passing of time, much less the undulation in the space. No one knew exactly how much time had passed. Each moment was like the blink of an eye, yet also resembling centuries. Once Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder returned to their senses, both of them were already at a certain small city in the mystic realm. It was already night. A blood-colored crescent hung on the sky. Its gleam shone through the clouds and completely enshrouded the entire city. There was a slight smell of blood lingering around as though it had long been combined with the air. Two extremely strange and ghastly buildings were situated at both sides of the city while an enormous central square laid right ahead. Many sculptures stood in the square silently. One of the sculptures was made with an unknown material, but its form and appearance were very solemn and righteous, resembling a Buddha that seemed to be able to suppress all evil in the world. Reaching a height of about 10 meters tall, that sculpture with a Buddha face was lifelike and raised a huge vajra in its hands. Find authorized novels in webnovel faster updates, better experience please click for visiting. However, the skull of an elderly was hung on that vajra, and the neck that was slit was filled with dried blood. The elderly's mouth was wide open, and horror filled his turbid eyes. It was as though he had witnessed the frightening birth of something that should not exist. That person seems to be an elder of Lingyun sect. The Blood Moon Elder frowned as he inspected for a long time before speaking to Yi Qingtang. Previously, Yi Qingtang had already seen the appearance of Yuehua sect and Lingyun sect, and it was indeed an elder of a super sect whose martial skills were at least above the second heaven of martial qi level 3. This person's skills are not bad, but he actually died here. Other than his head, his body is nowhere to be found. An inauspicious feeling arose in the Blood Moon Elder's heart. Every corner of this city felt strange, and it felt like one could see but not physically touch anything here. It's actually... Yi Qingtang's body shuddered slightly, and surprise emerged in her eyes. Hell of Avicinaraka realm. Hell of Avicinaraka realm. The Blood Moon Elder looked at Yi Qingtang in puzzlement. It said that Xianling sect's mystic realm was a miniature version of a battlefield in the ancient era in a spiritual abode. It was then brought back by the then Xianling patriarch, who suppressed it with a paragon divine treasure. After thousands of years of suppression, the demonic air was released and developed into many huge mystic realms. There was a hint of seriousness on Yi Qingtang's face as she explained. In the past, the mystic realms that Xianling sect started were ordinary mystic realms, and the danger levels to normal sect disciples was at most only level 4 if the maximum level was 100. The ordinary mystic realms would not exceed danger level 5. Seeming to hear the meaning between Yi Qingtang's words, the Blood Moon Elder slowly said, so this mystic realm is 100 level peril. Hell of Avicinaraka. In the dark night, a gust of eerie wind blew across, sending a chill down the spines of Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder at the same time. If Yi Qingtang knew that the mystic realm without the suppression of the sect's heritage would actually become 100 level peril hell of Avicinaraka, she would definitely not enter. Even if it meant giving up the Black Heaven water, Yi Qingtang would never take the risk to enter here. The so-called 100 level peril was the scariest and most dangerous place in a sect mystic realm. For a normal danger level 5 mystic realm, if 10 Xianling sect disciples entered, at least 3 or 4 people would die in it. It was already extremely difficult for 2 to 3 people to walk out alive from a mystic realm that surpassed danger level 6. If one was unlucky enough to enter a danger level 10 mystic realm, he or she did not need to struggle and only needed to wait for death. Yet currently, the hell of Avicinaraka belonged to a 100 level peril mystic realm. Even if you were a son of heaven, you would eventually turn into ashes and sink in here eternally. Although ordinary sects could not be compared to the super sects of Formidable Heavens Dynasty and Nine Knights Dynasty, it would be difficult if they wished to leave this place alive after entering this 100 level peril hell. This time, no one knew how many people could leave the hell of Avicinaraka alive. In Yi Qingtang's case, she had already entered the third heaven of martial qi level 2 and possessed the ultimate origin skill. Her combat skill was similar to that of a disciple at the peak of the first heaven of martial qi level 3. Yet despite so, she did not dare to say that she could leave this place alive. I've heard some things about that Xianling patriarch. The Blood Moon Elder continued on. 2,000 years ago, the Xianling patriarch trained all over the world and rescued a powerful figure who was heavily injured. Afterward, he brought that powerful figure back to his residence to treat her. However, that powerful figure's body was already extremely dilapidated, and she only had half a heart left. In the end, she died miserably. However, after that powerful figure died, her body turned into a crystal. After another 1,000 years, the Xianling patriarch founded Xianling sect and suppressed that crystal within the sect, and that crystal morphed into a small world, which is the mystic realm that we are in. Yi Qingtang did not refute him. Once a cultivator was powerful enough and reached a certain level, a spiritual abode would form in his or her body. Every spiritual abode was unique. In their lifetimes, those powerful figures would store the treasures they obtained in the spiritual abode in their bodies. After those powerful figures died, the spiritual abodes, however, would not be destroyed. Some of them became mystic realms while others became a dangerous land which was listed as forbidden ground. On the other hand, some spiritual abodes turned into blessed grotto heavens with countless destinies. Although the powerful figure that the Xianling patriarch rescued back then ultimately died, her spiritual abode was not destroyed and turned into a crystal, which was the current Xianling sect mystic realm. In Yi Qingtang's previous life, a spiritual abode was also formed in her body when she was at her peak. Most of the powerful figures with spiritual abodes in their bodies would destroy the spiritual abodes if they died a natural death, unwilling to leave their own heritage to be inherited by the future generations. Only those powerful figures who died tragically due to an unexpected calamity did not have time to destroy the spiritual abode in their bodies before their death. Thus, there were numerous accounts of the appearance of a powerful figure's inheritance in this world. At this instant, Yi Qingtang was walking to the central square in great strides. The closer she got, the more intense the smell of blood became. However, Yi Qingtang's brows were tightly furrowed as she scanned the surroundings. Apart from the skull of the Lingyun sect elder hung on the sculpture's sword, no other corpses could be seen. Holy Lady! I can smell that many people died here not long ago. Even the smell of blood is fresh. It's not more than a day, the Blood Moon Elder said. Not more than a day. Yi Qingtang's expression was increasingly heavy. This place was extremely strange. All of the corpses of those who died had disappeared. Even if they were slaughtered or swallowed by evil spirits, there should still be some flesh and traces left behind. But observing the area, apart from the skull of a super sex elder, nothing else could be seen. What exactly happened? Yi Qingtang's heart was extremely uneasy. It was a pity that it was already difficult to regret and leave after entering the mystic realm. If there was a chance to leave this place now, Yi Qingtang would definitely not hesitate at all and leave instantly. Holy Lady, what should we do now? The Blood Moon Elder was anxious as well. The Blood Sect Elder had entered quite a number of mystic realms before but had never heard of Xianling Sect's 100-level peril hell of Avicinaraka. In addition, his skills were also insufficient, and he had no solutions to speak of. Yi Qingtang was also unclear of what they should do now. The development of events had surpassed her predictions by a far lot and was headed towards an uncontrollable stage. Currently, Yi Qingtang hoped for neither destinies nor the Black Heaven water. She only hoped to be able to protect her own life. Well, take one step at a time. Once a mystic realm starts, it will sustain for about half a month. As long as we can bear through half a month, we can leave, Yi Qingtang said. Since that's the case. The Blood Moon Elder scanned the strange buildings in their surroundings and said, Holy Lady, let's just find a random house in this city and live in it. It's only half a month. It will pass in the blink of an eye. Yi Qingtang pinched her glabella upon hearing him. Why did such an idiot appear by her side? This was a 100-level peril mystic realm. How could one be able to survive just by hiding? If they really did what the Blood Moon Elder said, both of them would probably not live more than half a month. After seeing Yi Qingtang's unfathomable expression, the Blood Moon Elder was just about to defend himself, but strange noises sounded from the central square. From what they saw, the strange sounds came from the solemn Buddha statue. As Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder took a close look, that Buddha statue suddenly opened a pair of angry eyes. Right on the heels of that, a creepy sight appeared. The Buddha statue moved its vajra, and in the next second, the skull of that Lingyun sect elder was in its hands. It glared at the skull furiously for a few seconds and subsequently tossed that skull into its mouth without any hesitation, slowly chewing it. Luckily, the people who experienced this were Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder. One of them was a mighty paragon in her past life while the other was an elder of the evil Blood Moon sect. If it were others, they would have been so horrified to the point that their souls left their bodies or that they could even spit out their gallbladder. The freakish chewing sound was mixed with the sound of crushed bones. Stale blood slowly seeped out of the Buddha statue's mouth in the next second. The pair of enraged eyes suddenly looked towards Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder. Roar! A horrifying roar exploded from its mouth. Yi Qingtang could even faintly see the minced flesh and hair between the gaps of the Buddha statue's teeth. Hiss! Yi Qingtang gasped immediately. Run! Yi Qingtang fled without saying any other nonsense. The Buddha statue exuded a strange air which was extremely frightening. If she fought, it was without a doubt that she would die. Find authorized novels in webnovel faster updates, better experience please click for visiting. Holy Lady. What's so scary about this? It's just an evil creature. In my peak thousands of years ago, evil creatures like this did not dare to be so impudent before me. Pride filled the Blood Moon Elder's face. He just spoke but realized that Yi Qingtang had already escaped without a trace. Roar! Instantly, the Buddha statue's furious eyes landed on the Blood Moon Elder. Holy Lady! Wait for me, Holy Lady! After being sized up by the Buddha statue, the Blood Moon Elder fled without uttering any more crap. Although he did not lie, that was 1,000 years ago after all. Currently, it was still more dependable to be more realistic. However, the sinister laughter of the Buddha statue reverberated throughout the entire small city like a demonic voice that was impossible to get rid of. Every nook and cranny seemed to have that terrifying sinister laughter that caused one's scalp to tingle. Chapter 573 Hell of Avicinaraka 4. Seeing the two people escape, the Buddha statue finally moved its legs. Boom! Boom, boom! Boom, boom, boom! The entire city rocked with every step the Buddha statue took as it chased after Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder. Those tall, strange buildings crumbled into nothingness in succession under the heartless trampling of the Buddha statue. Shattering sounds rang repeatedly. At that moment, Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder had already fled to thousands of meters away. However, that Buddha statue was very fast as well. In just a while, the distance between it and Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder was already less than 100 meters. The sinister laughs behind caused one's blood to run cold. An extremely intense smell of death filled this small city that was enshrouded by the blood-colored moonlight. Even Yi Qingtang was completely drenched in cold sweat. The Buddha statue at the back was already probably consumed with desire. Perhaps, the monsters produced in this hell of Avicinaraka devoured any living things. At this moment, the Vajra in the Buddha statue's hand was thrown at Yi Qingtang. Swoosh! A piercing sound resounded throughout the entire place. The Vajra was extremely fast and had a powerful force. Yi Qingtang's brows were tightly furrowed as she felt the evil force surging towards her like a flood from a burst dam. Holy Lady! Careful! The Blood Moon Elder shouted, alarmed. Immediately, Yi Qingtang unsheathed the demonic blood sword without thinking. All the Blood Moon Elder saw was the demonic blood sword in Yi Qingtang's hand slashing at the huge Vajra. Boom! There was a deafening rumble. The demonic blood sword and the Vajra clashed for a second and separated. Yi Qingtang's complexion paled from that one clash, and the qi and blood in her body surged. She retreated back multiple steps. Thankfully, the Blood Moon Elder's eyes and hands were quick, and he caught Yi Qingtang, which finally steadied her body. Yi Qingtang's eyes were cold while the arm that wielded the sword trembled slightly. Fresh blood dripped down from where she held the sword. Holy Lady, you're injured. The Blood Moon Elder was rather frantic to see Yi Qingtang's injury. After all, this mystic realm was of 100-level peril. Not mentioning Yi Qingtang, even the powerful elder of Lingyun sect died, having his skull completely consumed by that Buddha statue. Seeing that Yi Qingtang was injured, the Buddha statue's angry eyes landed on her as the statue let out an extremely sinister laugh. The Buddha statue's right arm slowly reached into its chest and took out another head. That is, Yi Qingtang was appalled. Li Chenfeng! The Blood Moon Elder yelled in fear. Didn't the head that the Buddha statue held onto right now belong to the youngest internal affairs elder of Yunshao sect, Li Chenfeng? The pair of furious eyes met with Yi Qingtang's eyes. The Buddha statue slowly placed Li Chenfeng's skull into its mouth and gently chewed on it. Strange sounds could be heard as fresh blood and minced flesh flowed out of its lips. Run! Suddenly awoken, Yi Qingtang grabbed the Blood Moon Elder who was still rooted to the ground, dumbstruck, and fled out of the city. The scariness of that Buddha statue was already beyond logical, so powerful was it that it raised one's hackles. Every corner of this blood-colored city was creepy and ghastly. The acrid smell of blood in the air intensified gradually. Yi Qingtang brought the Blood Moon Elder and rapidly fled to a corner of a street. There was absolutely no life in the blood-colored city. The air of death lingered at every inch of the place as though the tragic torture of the underworld once existed, and it seemed as if everyone was dyed with blood and as if resentment filled the sky. While this was a land of evil spirits, even the Blood Moon Elder was unwilling to stay any longer. Yi Qingtang scanned the surroundings with a deep frown. Without a doubt, the place was a completely dead city with no presence of life and only an utter coldness. The hell of Avicinaraka here was said to simulate the ancient battlefield back then. Tens of thousands of years ago, the fourth domain still existed in this world. However, that mysterious fourth domain disappeared in a night. The fourth domain included hundreds of mainlands without any living beings. There were once rumors that perfected immortals and Buddhas appeared on the vanished fourth domain before. Their teachings once disseminated to every corner of the world. But as the fourth domain mysteriously disappeared, all the legends regarding immortals and Buddhas subsequently vanished like smoke in the air as well. Could there really be immortals and Buddhas in this world? Yi Qingtang was shaken. After hearing Yi Qingtang, the Blood Moon Elder was in deep thought. My holy lord once brought back a piece of an ancient stone tablet which was said to be left behind by the powerful figure whom the Xianling Patriarch saved back then. The contents on the stone tablet are a little similar to the scene today where the Buddha consumed people alive and chewed on flesh. Could it be that the person whom the Xianling Patriarch saved back then knows about the secret of the fourth domain that disappeared years ago? She ultimately sealed everything she saw and heard in her own spiritual abode. After that powerful figure died, the spiritual abode turned into a mystic realm while everything she sealed back then became the hell of Avicinaraka today. Yi Qingtang said. Holy Lady, I think there is a high possibility for that. When a spiritual abode becomes a mystic realm or a dangerous land, most of them were related to the things they heard and saw or their obsession and resentment. The spiritual abode of those with deep resentment would turn into a dangerous land while the spiritual abode of loyal and righteous people would turn into a blessed grotto heaven to benefit others. On the other hand, when some powerful figures died, their spiritual abodes would turn into the scene that they once imagined during their lifetime, just like this hell of Avicinaraka. The Blood Moon Elder seemed to be in thought. Speaking in another way, the powerful figure whom the Xianling Patriarch rescued should know some secrets behind the disappearance of the fourth domain and stored whatever she saw and thought in her spiritual abode. When that powerful figure died, the spiritual abode turned into a mystic realm which was the 100-level peril hell of Avicinaraka. True gods indeed existed in this world. Everyone knew that the supposed perfected immortals and ancient Buddhas only appeared in the fourth domain that mysteriously disappeared tens of thousands of years ago. Hence, Yi Qingtang was certain that the evil monsters and demonic spirits here should be what that dead powerful figure saw and heard in the fourth domain. So perfected immortals and ancient Buddhas were not only legends and truly existed tens of thousands of years ago. But why is it that all of them have completely vanished today despite being so powerful? How did that mysterious and powerful fourth domain disappear? It's said that the ancient Buddhas and perfected immortals were extraordinary existences and that their teachings delivered all living creatures from suffering and was full of compassion. However, in this hell of Avicinaraka, the Buddha became a monster that consumed living things. What exactly? Yi Qingtang mumbled as puzzlement filled her eyes. Chapter 575 Immortals and Buddhas. 2. After becoming a paragon in her previous life, she had heard myths about the ancient era of which immortals and Buddhas once appeared. Perfected immortals and ancient Buddhas existed in that mysterious fourth domain which had completely disappeared now. Thus, many did not know what immortals and Buddhas were. Yi Qingtang was extremely curious about what exactly happened to the mysterious fourth domain that caused billions of life to be exterminated and immortals and Buddhas to perish. Until now, the fourth domain did not exist. Yi Qingtang had an extremely deep interest in the fourth domain since her previous life, and she had even studied the disappearance of the perfected immortals and ancient Buddhas for a period of time. It was, however, that people were chasing after her life, and she did not have many chances to study it deeply. Thus, she achieved nothing. Roar! Suddenly, a roar resembling that of a fierce beast pulled Yi Qingtang back to reality. The Buddha statue was already near them. Like a towering giant, it walked in the blood-colored city in search of Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder. Then, Yi Qingtang brought the Blood Moon Elder into a slightly more ordinary house without any hesitation. The most pressing matter of the moment was to avoid being killed by the Buddha statue. Given Yi Qingtang's and the Blood Moon Elder's skills, there was no way they could be compared to that Buddha statue that had sunk into the demonic path. As long as they fought with the Buddha statue, there was no chance of winning, and both of them had to be prepared to be swallowed any time. After they hid in the house, the Buddha statue's sinister laughter finally receded. There was a deep well outside the courtyard, but it had long dried. There were many withered plants in their surroundings. Taking a close look, it was an extremely run-down house. It's truly mysterious. Curiosity was etched on the Blood Moon Elder's face. Something unimaginable seemed to have happened to the fourth domain on the night it disappeared. It's as though the perfected immortals and ancient Buddhas had once entered a tragic battle with some unknown entities. Is that possible? Yi Qingtang shook her head in disagreement to the Blood Moon Elder's words. The perfected immortals and ancient Buddhas never aged nor died, and they had the same longevity as the world. They had long turned into a part of the laws of powers. As long as the universe was not destroyed, the perfected immortals and ancient Buddhas would not die. Presently, the powerful figures at the emperor level were invincible and unrivaled. Even the owner of the heart of the demon god in her body, the demon god, had to bow in respect when he met the ancient Buddhas and perfected immortals. That level had long surpassed secularity and turned into a part of Tao. How could demon god, fiend honor, and human emperor be compared to them? But such a powerful fourth domain, including those immortals and Buddhas who once discussed Tao with saints and stood shoulder to shoulder with the heaven, perished just like that. Yi Qingtang felt that she was too weak. Even if she reached the paragon level in her previous life, she did not have the qualifications to peer into the secrets of the fourth domain and much less figure out the reason behind the fall of the immortals and Buddhas. Currently, Yi Qingtang increasingly thought that this world was perhaps not like what she imagined or saw. Living in this mainland was forever like living at the bottom of the well. Everything she could see or touch was merely the tip of the iceberg. Those secrets of the mythical era were innumerable, and each of them was like a treasure that attracted many to continuously explore. Yi Qingtang quietly swore to herself that one day when she was powerful enough to see the truth of this world, she would find out the reason behind the disappearance of the fourth domain and the fall of those immortals and Buddhas. The night was silent. The blood moon hanging in the dark sky was increasingly blinding. The sinister laughter of the Buddha statue had completely faded away and was nowhere near them. It was at that moment when Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder finally sighed in relief. Holy Lady, look! Suddenly, the Blood Moon Elder pointed at the deep well not far away. Yi Qingtang looked in the direction that the Blood Moon Elder was pointing at, and surprise emerged in her eyes. There was faint energy turbulence of an array formation from the pitch-dark well. Yi Qingtang walked towards the well. After a while, Yi Qingtang stood beside the well with a slight frown. The well had already dried, but there was a simple black box at the bottom of it. This well is protected by an array formation. Could it be that it's to protect this small box? Yi Qingtang was in thought. Once a spiritual abode was formed in the bodies of supreme figures, it was similar to an independent interspatial world, and a space ring was no longer needed. All the treasures obtained during their lifetime would be stored in the spiritual abode. Once the extremely powerful figures died and their spiritual abode turned into a mystic realm, their treasures would be stranded in the mystic realm and become a certain destiny. This small black box should be one of the treasures stored in the spiritual abode of that supreme figure. Delight emerged in Yi Qingtang's eyes. Yi Qingtang initially wanted to enter the well and retrieve the small box, but before she could get close to it, the power of the array formation caused her to retreat backward. Can this array formation be broken? Yi Qingtang looked at the Blood Moon Elder. Then, the Blood Moon Elder walked forward and inspected the well for a moment before nodding finally. Holy Lady, this array formation has already lost most of its powers. It is not difficult to break, but it would require some time. I'll leave it to you then. Yi Qingtang nodded. Without saying anything else, the Blood Moon Elder immediately started to break the array formation. After an hour later, the array formation protecting the deep well was finally broken by the Blood Moon Elder. As the array formation disappeared, Yi Qingtang swiftly retrieved the small box from the deep well. After opening the small box, she realized that it was an old talisman. What is this? Yi Qingtang inspected it closely yet could not recognize it. The Blood Moon Elder inched forward as well. After looking at it, he shook his head and said, "This item does not seem like something produced from this era. The image on the talisman is extremely mysterious. It could be an array formation in a talisman, or it could be something else." Yi Qingtang was rather speechless. When did she require the Blood Moon Elder's reminder? But regardless of what this was, what was sealed in the talisman was definitely a consumable product that could only be used once. Yi Qingtang would absolutely not brashly use it just to test what item it was. Placing the talisman back into the small box, Yi Qingtang brought the Blood Moon Elder away. There were countless other similar houses in the blood-colored city. After gaining an item, Yi Qingtang naturally would not leave easily and searched the other houses for some time. However, Yi Qingtang no longer saw any treasures protected by array formations this time. Such was a mystic realm. Everything was dependent on destinies, and not every house would have treasures sealed in the spiritual abode. Chapter 577 Danger 1. After searching a few houses and not finding anything, Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder waited until dawn and left. There was not much difference between the day and night in the small city. The blood-colored glints still enshrouded over the city irrespective of the time. Throughout their journey, Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder were extremely cautious and were on their guard, deeply afraid that they would encounter that frightening Buddha statue again. About an hour later, the two people finally stopped outside the city gates. The human-consuming Buddha statue was right in the center of the city gates where they had to pass through. However, it had already turned into a statue. The Blood Moon Elder looked at Yi Qingtang rather uneasily. Both of them had already witnessed the skills of that Buddha statue. Once it discovered them, it would be difficult for them to escape again. Seeing that Yi Qingtang did not say anything, the Blood Moon Elder spoke. "Holy Lady, how about we take another route? Otherwise, if we alarm that evil creature, I'm afraid we will not have it easy." However, Yi Qingtang shook her head. There was only this one exit to this blood-colored city. If they did not pass through here, she would still not be able to fly out of this city even if she used her feather formation technique. There were unknown laws of powers in this city which somehow restricted the ability for cultivators to be high up in the sky, and cultivators forced into the mystic realm could only travel by feet. There was indeed a high risk in exiting the city. As the Blood Moon Elder said, if they alarmed the Buddha statue, the consequences would be dire. However, if they remained there were too many variables, and the dark night, especially, was extremely scary. Yi Qingtang did not dare to think whether even more frightening creatures would appear. At present, the two of them only had one route, which was to take a risk and leave the city. The risks were extremely high in the blood-colored city, and they could lose their lives in here any time. Instead of that, why not risk their lives and take a chance? Go. Yi Qingtang looked at the Blood Moon Elder and walked forward in great strides right after. Seeing that Yi Qingtang was so decisive, the Blood Moon Elder could only pull a long face and follow behind Yi Qingtang. When both of them passed by the Buddha statue, they deliberately slowed their breathing and walked lightly, afraid that a slight rough action would awaken the Buddha statue. They were still 10 meters away from the border of the city. Sleep longer. You must not wake up at this time. The Blood Moon Elder's eyes never left the Buddha statue. At this instant, they were only less than 5 meters away from the border of the city. Yi Qingtang held her breath. Every step was like eons. 3 meters. 2 meters. 1 meter. Seeing the mountain valley outside the town, Yi Qingtang finally heaved a sigh in relief. Holy Lady, this Buddha is looking at us. Suddenly, the Blood Moon Elder shouted in surprise. After hearing the Blood Moon Elder, Yi Qingtang instinctively looked behind her. However, this action caused her to directly meet the eyes of the Buddha statue. The eyeballs of the Buddha statue slowly turned. A hint of banter emerged in that pair of angry eyes. Immediately, the Buddha statue let out a burst of sinister laughter that struck terror in hearts. In the next second, the Buddha statue raised the Vajra in its hands and fiercely smashed it towards the two people. Run! Yi Qingtang's expression changed. Without thinking, Yi Qingtang grabbed the Blood Moon Elder almost instinctively and sprinted out of the city. Boom! The Vajra caused the ground where both of them were standing at previously to be smashed into pieces. Even though they were only 1 meter away, they almost lost their lives. Chapter 578, Danger, 2, Roar. Standing at the boundary of the city gates, the Buddha statue glared at Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder as a terrifying roar erupted from its mouth. Ah! The Blood Moon Elder looked at the roaring Buddha statue in the city and was in a slight daze. This demonic creature seems to be unable to leave the small city. Yi Qingtang turned over to take a look as well. This small city seemed to have a certain barrier that did not allow demonic creatures within the city to leave. It seems like it. Yi Qingtang spoke. Ha 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 ha. All of a sudden, the Blood Moon Elder laughed loudly and pointed at the Buddha statue at the boundary of the city gates. You must thank your own luck. If not for the fact that my skills are not at when I was at my peak back then, I would have long crushed you into pieces with a punch. After he gained knowledge that the Buddha statue was unable to leave the small city, arrogance filled the Blood Moon Elder's face as though he was the unparalleled ruler of the world who looked down upon everyone with haughtiness. Do you need me to send you in and tell it that? Yi Qingtang looked away from the Buddha statue and at the Blood Moon Elder. After he heard Yi Qingtang, the Blood Moon Elder's expression changed immediately. If he was kicked back into the city by Yi Qingtang, wouldn't that Buddha statue tear him apart alive? Coughs. Holy Lady, I think there's no need for that, the Blood Moon Elder muttered. Yi Qingtang shook her head. This Blood Moon Elder was simply bound too deeply to the past as he spoke about how he was thousands of years ago every now and then. Yi Qingtang was not interested in how the Blood Moon Elder was 1,000 years ago. She was only interested in his current state. Holy Lady. This place has a strong smell of death. It's not good to stay here for long. It's safer for us to leave right now. Flattery filled the Blood Moon Elder's face. Yi Qingtang stared at the Blood Moon Elder. He was still talking about killing and had airs of authority, but after hearing that he was to return back to the city, he was immediately frightened. His shamelessness might just be even greater than his martial skills when he was at his peak 1,000 years ago. Yi Qingtang could not be bothered to say anything more to the Blood Moon Elder and simply headed forward. This place was an extremely huge mountain valley. At this moment, both of them were walking on a certain hill. It had already been a day since they entered this mystic realm, while the powerful figures from Formidable Heaven's dynasty and Nine Nights dynasty had entered for a way longer time than they have. Presently, Yi Qingtang's heart was filled with puzzlement. After entering the mystic realm, she had not seen traces of anyone from either dynasty apart from the skulls of Li Qinfeng and a Lingyun sect elder. Thinking about it carefully, Li Qinfeng and that Lingyun sect elder probably unintentionally intruded into the blood-colored city and alarmed the scary Buddha statue, ultimately causing them to be slaughtered. Currently, Yi Qingtang only wanted to understand what exactly happened to the forces who entered the mystic realm as quickly as possible. Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder had already walked for hours on this hill. It was only until dusk when they saw a dilapidated temple. The temple was extremely simple and unsophisticated. It was not too big and had a square shape, appearing to be very ordinary. However, there were 7 to 8 sect disciples outside the temple. Yi Qingtang looked carefully and realized that 2 of those disciples were from Falling Sky Valley while the remaining people were from Nine Knights Dynasty. At that instant, Yi Qingtang originally wanted to ask them about the situation but suddenly recalled that she was currently wearing a Yunshao sect disciple uniform. Yunshao sect was a super sect of Formidable Heavens Dynasty while multiple people near the temple were from Nine Knights Dynasty. The dynasties were enemies with each other. Especially, members from Yunshao sect were irreconcilable archenemies with Falling Sky Valley. Chapter 579, Danger, 3. If she suddenly appeared at that time, she would not be able to find out anything and might even be jointly attacked by them. Immediately, Yi Qingtang changed into an ordinary white top and stored the Yunshao sect disciple uniform in her space ring. Then, Yi Qingtang walked towards the temple in great strides. The people stood in a row in front of the temple. They seemed to be paying respects to the temple. Senior brother, I was separated from the sect after I entered the mystic realm. I had been trapped in a small city all along and only escaped not long ago. May I ask what exactly happened after everyone entered the mystic realm? Yi Qingtang walked to the side of a Falling Sky Valley disciple with a harmless smile on her face. Yi Qingtang was a Falling Sky Valley disciple in her past life as well and had a natural soft spot for the Falling Sky Valley. However, Yi Qingtang waited for a long time but did not get any response. Even more than that, those Falling Sky Valley disciples did not even spare Yi Qingtang a look. It was not just the Falling Sky Valley disciples, but even the numerous people at the front did not seem to want to respond to Yi Qingtang. Humph! The Blood Moon Elder scoffed coldly. My young sir is talking to you all. Why are you all not responding to him? Yi Qingtang had a slight headache when she saw the Blood Moon Elder's response and pinched her glabella. This Blood Moon Elder did not have much skill presently, yet he was still arrogant. Every word he said could ignite a battle. Could it be that he still wanted to kill her, but what Yi Qingtang could not understand was that those Nine Knights Dynasty people simply turned a deaf ear to the Blood Moon Elder and did not respond. Fellow people, I'm also from the Nine Knights Dynasty camp, Yi Qingtang explained. That's right. My young sir and I are from the Nine Knights Dynasty. Once we enter this mystic realm, everyone belongs to the same camp. If you have any news, it is only right to share it. The Blood Moon Elder echoed and nodded hurriedly. There was still no response. Before waiting for Yi Qingtang to speak again, the young male who was the first in line suddenly drew a long sword out of its sheath. Noticing the situation, Yi Qingtang frowned immediately, not knowing why that person had unsheathed his sword. Swoosh! In the next second, Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder exchanged a look with each other with mouths hung ajar. That young male actually brandished his sword without saying anything and chopped his own head off. The headless body took a few steps forward. Fresh blood splattered all over the ground and was instantly absorbed into the ground like water entering sand. This. The Blood Moon Elder was stupefied. Could it be that the disciple lost his mind and killed himself? Without giving Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder any time to react, the second person walked forward, unsheathed his sword similarly without saying anything, and beheaded himself. Rumble, the head fell to the ground and rolled forward like a rubber ball, leaving a trail of blood on the ground. and the trail of blood was completely absorbed by the ground almost instantly. I have sinned. I have sinned, the third person mumbled in between miserable wails. He had a malevolent expression as he laughed crazily. Ultimately, his hands clutched onto his skull and forcefully pulled it apart from his body with brute force. Blood spouted out from the neck and into the sky. Once the fresh blood touched the ground, it was once again absorbed. With his head in his hands, the third person staggered forward a few steps before eventually collapsing and dying. Even the Blood Moon Elder could not help but gasp at the sight. His Blood Moon sect was claimed to be the first demonic sect by everyone, and as a Blood Moon Elder, he had seen many violent scenes in his lifetime and had committed innumerable murders, never knowing what mercy meant. However, after seeing this scene today, his scalp still tingled, and he found it hard to disbelieve. Chapter 580, Oddity 1. Yi Qingtang frowned and could not believe that the two influential people of the Nine Knights dynasty would chop off their own heads instantly. The two Falling Sky Valley disciples walked towards the temple at the same time. Yi Qingtang's eyes flickered and pulled the two people back immediately. She would not bother about the well-being of strangers, but the two people in front of her were the disciples of the Falling Sky Valley. The Falling Sky Valley was significant to her. She did not want the Falling Sky Valley disciples to commit suicide by going to the temple. Those who were dead served as an example. Both Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder were full of experience, and they could tell from the things that happened just now that there was something peculiar with the temple in front. However, the moment she held the two Falling Sky Valley disciples back, she was shocked. Their strength was immense, and her hands were deflected immediately. Move away. One of the Falling Sky Valley disciples turned over. His eyes were fierce and evil. He stared deadly at Yi Qingtang and shouted in anger. He did not lose his consciousness. Yi Qingtang's eyes were filled with astonishment for a second as she could not understand the situation. Yi Qingtang thought that those who committed suicide lost their consciousness due to some unknown evil spirits inside the temple. She believed that that was the reason why they did not know what they were doing. However, Yi Qingtang noticed that the two Falling Sky Valley disciples did not seem to lose their consciousness. The two Falling Sky Valley disciples arrived at the front of the temple in a split second. The two of them kneed down and kowtowed. Clank! Clank! Suddenly, the two Falling Sky Valley disciples pulled their swords out by their waists. Those who are sin deserve to die. There is no amnesty. The things happened next shocked the Blood Moon Elder and Yi Qingtang again. The two Falling Sky Valley disciples wielded their swords at the same time and chopped down towards each other's head after they shouted. It happened so fast that Yi Qingtang could not stop them in time. Puff! Puff! At the next second, the intense odor of blood spread out. The two heads were chopped off and flew into the air. A large amount of blood spurted out from their neck and dropped onto the ground like raindrops. Yi Qingtang frowned slightly as she saw the two corpses that collapsed onto the ground instantly. Though she intended to save the two Falling Sky Valley disciples, she could not do anything to help as she did not expect their moves. Holy Lady, the temple is definitely odd. The Blood Moon Elder's expression was serious. Leave. The temple was odd. Those who approached died miserably even though they were martial Qi level 3 cultivators. Yi Qingtang did not hesitate and decided to leave immediately. The Blood Moon Elder's face was pale. He had been everywhere 1,000 years ago, but he had never witnessed such horrifying things. They ran for a few thousand meters before they stopped. Finally, we managed to escape, the Blood Moon Elder sighed. The hell of Avicinaraka was full of risks and was too dangerous. It would be extremely difficult to survive for half a month inside. Holy, the Blood Moon Elder was about to say something to Yi Qingtang, but his face changed the moment he turned over. There was a temple in front of them, and there were countless of headless corpses around. Chapter 581, Oddity, 2, Yi Qingtang stared at the temple and frowned. She seemed to be facing her greatest enemy. How is it possible? We ran for so long, and we still end up at the same place. Is there an illusion array? Is that why we can't get out of this place? The Blood Moon Elder said in disbelief. Yi Qingtang shook her head. There was no energy turbulence of an array in their surroundings, so they were not trapped in an array formation. We have all sinned, the Blood Moon Elder said softly suddenly and walked towards the temple. Blood Moon Elder? Yi Qingtang narrowed her eyes as she stared at the Blood Moon Elder. I have committed many sins. I shall use my blood to redeem my sins. The Blood Moon Elder suddenly knelt in front of the temple and murmured. His face and eyes were full of regret. This is bad. Yi Qingtang did not hesitate anymore. She stepped forward and stopped behind the Blood Moon Elder instantly. Yi Qingtang used her palm and hit the Blood Moon Elder. He lost his consciousness and fell. Yi Qingtang did not have other choices. He would kill himself if she did not hit him. Yi Qingtang planned to bring the Blood Moon Elder away from this place, but suddenly, she heard a voice. The voice sounded like the chanting of ancient gods, and one could not hear any other voice on earth. Yi Qingtang felt her body was stiff. I have sinned, Yi Qingtang murmured and dragged her stiff body forward a few meters. She knelt down on the ground when she reached the front of the temple. There was an elegant stone Buddha in the temple. The Buddha suddenly opened its eyes and said softly, "You have sinned the moment you are born." I have sinned. Yi Qingtang was filled with sadness all of a sudden. You need to use your blood to wash off your sins. The soft voice of the Buddha appeared again. Use my blood. Yi Qingtang's eyesight was firm. Clank. The demonic blood sword was held in her hand. The demonic blood sword was placed beside her neck at the next second. She could chop off her head at any moment. Suddenly, the blood moon at her glabella suddenly appeared, and a strong force surrounded her. A tall shadow appeared through her blood moon at the same time. It was a cold man with silver hair. His eyes were expressionless, and they seemed to be able to suppress everything in the world. Break! The shadow shouted and broke the delusive voice. A ball of strong energy exploded out of her blood moon as the shadow's voice spread out. The energy surrounded Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang's expression changed, and her entire life was replaying inside her brain. She had never done anything harmful since she was born. She only killed those who intended to murder her. She had never hurt anyone innocent. Where is my sin? Yi Qingtang gritted her teeth and struggled to get up from the ground. Her birth was a part of nature's rule and the result of human reproduction. There was no sin. She had never hurt anyone innocent in her entire life. There was no sin. Even the Buddha could not accuse her of any sin. Where is my sin? Yi Qingtang's eyesight changed from confusion to firmness. Her eyes sparkled, and there was no trace of uncertainty at all. Chapter 582, Oddity, 3, The Buddha in the Temple chuckled. You are born with sin. Yi Qingtang frowned and did not bother to say anything. She slashed the temple with her demonic blood sword. Boom! A loud sound exploded, and a cloud of dust was spinning in the wind. The temple was crushed into pieces under her sword. That was risky. Yi Qingtang's face was pale, and she could still feel the fear in her heart. Just now, she was deluded by the voice from the temple. She was filled with regret and sadness that led to the development of mental demons. She thought that she was full of sin and wanted to end her own life. However, Yi Qingtang touched her glabella area. The blood moon had disappeared, and the power inside it was used up. There is brother's power in the blood moon mark, Yi Qingtang was in thought. The shadow that appeared from her glabella was the remaining consciousness of the blood moon Holy Lord. If it had not appeared, she would have died. Such a pity. Yi Qingtang shook her head as the remaining power in the blood moon was used up. If she encountered any danger in the future, the blood moon would not be able to help her anymore. Soon, Yi Qingtang cleared her thoughts and sized up the debris of the temple. The power inside the temple was able to delude people nearby. They would definitely be influenced by the stone Buddha. Without a strong mental ability, they would definitely die here miserably. However, Yi Qingtang did not have any mental demons as she did not do anything harmful in her entire life. She was firm on that deep in her heart, and that was the reason why she dared to challenge that her life and her birth was not full of sin. The query she had in her heart stimulated the remaining consciousness that was sealed in the blood moon. She then abandoned her confusion and got rid of the mental demons. The temple was destroyed under her sword. The blood moon elder woke up after a while. He stared at Yi Qingtang in confusion as he did not know what happened. How come I feel that? I was hit by someone, the blood moon elder murmured, and his eyes were filled with uncertainty. Yi Qingtang did not explain but walked to the debris of the temple. She picked up a crystal from the broken Buddha. Illusion stone, Yi Qingtang sized up the crystal in her hand. Her face was very serious. The illusion stone was the pupil of a demonic beast that had enchantment skills. It would never grow in a stone Buddha. Yi Qingtang noticed earlier that the Buddha's left eye was weird. The Buddha's left eye was placed with the illusion stone by someone. Once a person's eyes met with the stone, the person would be deluded. The illusion stone was the culprit behind the actions of those who committed suicide earlier. Is it possible that, Yi Qingtang was puzzled. All these are man-made? The 100-level peril hell of Avicinaraka was made by humans. How could that be possible? Furthermore, mystic realms opened by chance and had 100 different levels of danger. No one could predict the opening of the hell of Avicinaraka. Even gods might not be able to do that. Yi Qingtang was slightly irritated and waved towards the blood moon elder nearby. The blood moon elder ran towards her immediately. Yi Qingtang did not hide anything. She showed the illusion stone to the blood moon elder and told him her opinion. Chapter 583, Encounter, 1, Holy Lady, it's not possible. The blood moon elder shook his head after hearing Yi Qingtang's prediction. This piece of land had a limited supply of spirit energy. Even a mighty holy venerate's ability would be suppressed at the peak of the level of a yin-yang true lord on this land. The blood moon holy lord's ability had surpassed that of the ultimate elder, but the mainland suppressed his ability at the peak of the level of a yin-yang true lord. That was the reason why he was chased by the ultimate elder. The 100-level peril hell of Avicinaraka could pose dangers to gods as their abilities would also be suppressed at the level of a yin-yang true lord. How was it possible to play any tricks here? Yi Qingtang pinched her glabella. Maybe she thought too much. The starting of the hell of Avicinaraka would last for half a month. Yi Qingtang and the blood moon elder would need to spend another 14 days in the hell of Avicinaraka. When they were about to leave, 10 young men and ladies arrived at the place. The 10 people were from the Nine Knights dynasty and the formidable Heavens dynasty, including the Falling Sky Valley, the Ouyang family, and the Yuehua sect. Yi Qingtang was a little curious. People of the two dynasties were together. Hey brother, Im Feng Tsong, disciple of the Falling Sky Valley. May I know what happened here? One of the men from the Falling Sky Valley walked over when he saw Yi Qingtang and the blood moon elder. He frowned when he saw the collapsed temple and a few corpses. 2 of the corpses were Falling Sky Valley disciples. Yi Qingtang held her fists together and said, "My surname is Yi." She then explained the truth to them. So that is how it is. Feng Tsong nodded and did not challenge anything. The 100-level peril mystic realm was extremely odd. We were sent to different locations when we entered the mystic realm and lost contact with our sect. We struggled to survive along the way. Initially, there were 10 people in my team, but now, only 10 of us are left in the entire mystic realm after one day. Feng Tsong sighed. They would have never entered the place if they knew that it was the 100-level peril mystic realm. However, there was no way out now. Brother Yi, are you interested in joining us? We need to work together in the 100-level peril mystic realm. If not, we may all die here. That is what I'm thinking. Yi Qingtang smiled. Are you interested as well, this lady? Feng Tsong's eyesight landed on the Blood Moon Elder after getting Yi Qingtang's reply. The Blood Moon Sect Elder, Brother Feng, she is my servant. It's not necessary to ask for her opinion, Yi Qingtang said. Okay. Feng Tsong nodded but still sized up the Blood Moon Elder. Brother, yes, taste is really fresh. Is it the illusion stone in your hand, young sir? A shy lady walked over slowly, and she looked at Yi Qingtang with her enchanting eyes. Oh Yang Qian, Yi Qingtang scoffed in her heart as she looked at the lady in front of her. Oh Yang Qian had tormented in her previous life all the time. However, she was very pretty. The men in the team all surrounded her. Some of the men in the team stared at Yi Qingtang with hostility when they witnessed that Ouyang Qian seemed to be interested in Yi Qingtang. Chapter 584, Encounter, 2, Yi Qingtang's male disguise could be considered very handsome. His eyes appeared to be slightly evil. No other man in the team could be compared to Yi Qingtang. Furthermore, Ouyang Qian was so into her that the rest of them all felt jealous. It's an illusion stone, Yi Qingtang said and smiled. Ouyang Qian rolled her eyes and stepped closer towards Yi Qingtang. She smiled charmingly. Young sir, are you willing to sell the illusion stone to me? Ouyang Qian was cultivating a type of fiend skill. Her cultivation would improve hugely with the help of the illusion stone. Yi Qingtang stared at Ouyang Qian and said, what do you want to offer in exchange? Anything you ask. Young sir, Ouyang Qian's face was full of shyness. How about your body? Yi Qingtang's lips curled up slightly, forming into a devilish smile. The men in the team were all shocked after hearing her words. Ouyang Qian also did not expect young sir to be so straightforward. Hee hee. You're really amusing. Young sir. How about we discuss again later? Ouyang Qian's eyes were filled with coldness. Okay. Yi Qingtang nodded her head in agreement. Who do you think you are? How dare you to be so rude to Lady O? Are you tired of living? One of the Yuehua sect disciples went forward and shouted at Yi Qingtang angrily with his finger pointing at her. Before Yi Qingtang could say anything, the Blood Moon Elder pointed back at the disciple and rebuked. Who are you? How does it bother you when holy? Young sir, talk to others. Bastard. What did you say? The Yuehua sect disciple's face immediately clouded. An extremely ugly servant dared to talk to him like that? Feng Tsong frowned. He stepped forward and stopped the two people from quarreling. Can't you see the situation we are in now? It's not the time for you to settle your business. Leave it till we can escape from this place alive. This is the 100-level peril mystic realm. If we do not work together, we may all die here. The most urgent thing now is to find people from all the sects and reunite with them. I hope you can set aside your personal matters first. Another lady from the Falling Sky Valley said. Humph. The Yuehua sect disciple humphed. He stared at Yi Qingtang in a threatening way and then backed off. Yi Qingtang did not bother to quarrel with the Yuehua sect disciple. She followed Feng Tsong and the rest to move forward. From what Feng Tsong and the rest described, they also encountered many demon creatures here, and near 10 of them died. The next 2 days were peaceful as they did not encounter any demon creature. However, they witnessed some broken corpses of sect disciples. It had been 3 days since they entered the hell of Avicinaraka. They needed to spend another 13 days to leave this place alive. However, it was easier said than done. A voice was heard at midnight at Yi Qingtang's temporary place. Young Sir Yi. Ouyang Qian suddenly appeared with a smile. She was in a white maxi dress. Her hair was swinging at her waist area. Half of her breasts could be seen through the dress. Any man would not be able to resist such temptations. Yi Qingtang was calm after noticing her appearance. Lady Qian, why do you come over to my place at midnight instead of getting some rest? Chapter 585, Encounter, 3, Ouyang Qian chuckled. Young sir. I'm just here to have a chat with you. Oh. What do you want to chat then? Yi Qingtang pretended to be ignorant and asked. Of course, it's about the illusion stone. Ouyang Qian sat in front of Yi Qingtang slowly. Her lips were tilted slightly. She hugged Yi Qingtang with her hands and murmured beside her ear. Young sir. I remember that you said that you want my body to exchange for that illusion stone, that's right. Yi Qingtang smiled. Then, what are you waiting for? Ouyang Qian placed her hands at Yi Qingtang's back. Her voice was seducing, and it seemed that she was willing to do anything. Lady Qian. Are you sure about that? Yi Qingtang asked meaningfully. Of course. Ouyang Qian smiled, but her eyes were cold. She had intended to kill Yi Qingtang. Before Yi Qingtang could say anything, Ouyang Qian held her body tightly and said, however, I believe there's one sentence that young sir should hear before. It goes. It's an honor to die under a peony flower. Coldness swiped through Ouyang Qian's eyes. A ball of black mist appeared in her hands suddenly, and it seemed to be able to crush Yi Qingtang's organs. What do you want? Yi Qingtang was shocked. Young sir, you can only blame yourself for your death. If you gave me the illusion stone willingly, you can at least keep your life. How dare you to dream to have sex with me? It's a pity that your handsome appearance will be gone as well. Ouyang Qian scorned. Swoosh. The moment when Ouyang Qian finished her words, a flare lit up on Yi Qingtang's body. There was a talisman on her back. Argh! As the talisman was burning, Ouyang Qian was hit by the intense force from the talisman and vomited blood. Talisman array formation, you. Ouyang Qian's face was pale, and she stared at Yi Qingtang unbelievably. The shock on Yi Qingtang's face was gone, and it was replaced by a cold smile. I know that you want to ask why was I prepared. That's because I know you well. You know me. Ouyang Qian could not believe what she just heard. Dying under a peony flower. I admit that the sentence is true, but you are no peony flower. Yi Qingtang smiled. Based on what Yi Qingtang knew about Ouyang Qian, she would definitely make a move within these few days. That was the reason why Yi Qingtang took out a protection talisman from her space ring and kept it close with her. You, what do you want? Ouyang Qian gritted her teeth. She did not expect that Yi Qingtang would be prepared earlier with a talisman array formation. And she fell into the trap. I want your body. Yi Qingtang smiled. Oh, that is what you want. Ouyang Qian curled her lips. Come in. Yi Qingtang did not reply Ouyang Qian but shouted towards outside. The Blood Moon Elder walked in immediately. He was puzzled and asked, Holy Lady, what is the great gift that you said, Holy Lady? Ouyang Qian was stunned when she heard the Blood Moon Elder's words. She stared at Yi Qingtang unbelievably. You are a woman. However, Yi Qingtang did not bother to explain. She made an evil smile as she looked at the Blood Moon Elder. She is the gift. Chapter 586, Possession, 1, Ha. The Blood Moon Elder was slightly dazed. After returning to his senses, he hurriedly waved his hands and said, Holy Lady. I don't like women. You don't like women? Yi Qingtang was stunned, and she could not help but size up the Blood Moon Elder with a subtle expression. No, no, no. The Blood Moon Elder felt his scalp tingle from Yi Qingtang's stare and frantically shook his head. That's not what I mean. I just don't lust after women. Yi Qingtang looked at the Blood Moon Elder speechlessly and pinched her glabella. Was he mistaken about something? As the Blood Moon Elder looked at the enchantingly beautiful Ouyang Qian, he was filled with grief and indignation. Before entering the mystic realm, the Holy Lady told him that she would bestow him a big present. Initially, the Blood Moon Elder was filled with expectation for this so-called big present and assumed that it would be an elixir that she refined. However, never would he expect that the supposed big present was actually a woman. What would he need a woman for? What he needed were elixirs. Elixirs. He is a man. After she heard the conversation between Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder, Ouyang Qian's expression changed drastically. She stared at the Blood Moon Elder in disbelief with horror in her eyes before looking at Yi Qingtang. You actually want to let such a hideous-looking man engage in that illicit act, with me? Pfft. The Blood Moon Elder shot a look at Ouyang Qian. Shameless. To think that he was once so honorable as an elder of the Blood Moon sect 1,000 years ago. How would he want such a woman like Ouyang Qian? Before waiting for Yi Qingtang to say anything, the Blood Moon Elder immediately inched nearer to hear and smiled. Holy Lady, how about you exchange this woman with elixirs? I personally like elixirs more. Look, however, Yi Qingtang shook her head, looked at the Blood Moon Elder, and spoke in a grave tone with sincerity. The effect of this woman is much better than elixirs. Seeing that his Holy Lady simply did not give him any room for negotiation, the Blood Moon Elder had a sullen expression as he said, Holy Lady, you may not know, but my waist cannot make it. Yi Qingtang stared blankly at the Blue Moon Elder. Yi Qingtang was actually speechless for a moment. This Blood Moon Elder was overthinking too much. Furthermore, how much did he despise Ouyang Qian exactly? You should change a body already, Yi Qingtang said helplessly while looking at the Blood Moon Elder. What? The Blood Moon Elder was dumbstruck and in utter disbelief. Yi Qingtang's intention was actually for him to possess this woman's body. Almost right when he realized that, the Blood Moon Elder turned around and wanted to leave without hesitation. Yet, how would he have the chance to leave? Yi Qingtang raised a brow and grabbed the Blood Moon Elder's left shoulder directly, pulling him. Why? You don't like it? Yi Qingtang looked at the Blood Moon Elder with a raised brow. At that moment, shock filled the Blood Moon Elder's face while misery flooded his eyes. Holy Lady, I'm a man. 1,000 years ago, he overran the world and could go anywhere he pleased. Many supreme-grade women adored him. Yet, he was to be a woman now. If others knew about this, wouldn't they laugh their heads off? He simply could not do it. You've been a man for 1,000 years. What's so bad about being a woman occasionally? Yi Qingtang spoke meaningfully with a sincere expression. At that very instant, Ouyang Qian's face was already ash-white. Chapter 587, Possession, 2. She finally understood what Yi Qingtang meant by needing her body. She actually wanted to let someone possess her body. Ouyang Qian clenched her teeth. She originally wanted to get out of this situation, but she did not have any strength left in her body. Holy Lady, I feel that, the Blood Moon Elder originally wanted to use emotions and reason to persuade Yi Qingtang, but he was cut short by Yi Qingtang halfway. This girl has a superb martial talent and cultivates demonic techniques. Her current skills have already entered the peak of the first heaven of martial chi level 3, and she will break through to the second heaven and even the third heaven of martial chi level 3 very quickly. If you're willing to possess her, everything she has would become yours. After hearing that, the Blood Moon Elder was suddenly quiet. What Yi Qingtang said indeed attracted him. The peak of the first heaven of martial chi level 3 in addition to superb martial talent. With the support of Yi Qingtang's elixirs, perhaps he would be able to return to his peak once again. Surpassing his peak might not be impossible. But, the Blood Moon Elder was still a little bothered. After all, he was to suddenly become a woman without any mental preparation, no buts. Yi Qingtang waved a hand and cut his sentence short. We are in the 100-level peril hell of Avicinaraka right now. Even I barely have the ability to protect myself. Have you ever thought of whether you can leave this place alive based on your skills? The Blood Moon Elder's expression changed. If Yi Qingtang had not knocked him unconscious at that temple previously, his ending would definitely be extremely tragic as well. Ah! Yi Qingtang shook her head at the Blood Moon Elder and sighed. Forget it. I see that you do not wish to do this as well, so I will not force you anymore. You can't fancy the skills of a cultivator at the peak of the first heaven of martial qi level 3 with peerless demonic techniques anyways. I'm afraid that you don't even care when you die in the mystic realm. Since that's the case, why would I convince you? Whatever. Forget it. You can leave. After saying that, Yi Qingtang saw that the Blood Moon Elder was still standing at the same spot and said rather impatiently, "Leave quickly." The Blood Moon Elder's heart was shaken. Almost in the next second, his face was full of smiles. Holy Lady. I think that what you said is logical, and of course, I will listen to your arrangements. So be it if it was a woman. It was still better than dying in this hell of Avicinaraka. The Blood Moon Elder did not wish to die in this mystic realm. Even if his spirit would not be destroyed when he died, if he died in this mystic realm which started at irregular timings, there would probably be no hope of returning to his previous position in this lifetime. This is right, Yi Qingtang said and patted the Blood Moon Elder's left shoulder. I'm not letting you be a female forever. If there is a better male body next time, wouldn't it be great if you possessed it again then? The Blood Moon Elder nodded in full agreement. He was not going to be a woman for his entire lifetime, and what he was doing now was only a temporary expedient. A great man knew when to yield and when to not. Seeing that the Blood Moon Elder was finally enlightened, she did not say anything else and merely lifted her chin at Ouyang Qian. Immediately understanding her gesture, the Blood Moon Elder walked towards Ouyang Qian with a sinister smile. You all. Currently, Ouyang Qian had already understood what the two people meant and paled in fear. I am, the young miss of 9 Knights Dynasty's Ouyang clan. If you all dare to do anything, my Ouyang clan will definitely assassinate you all by wrathful means. Chapter 588, Possession, 3:0. The Blood Moon Elder laughed coldly. What you're saying doesn't seem to be false. However, from now on, I am the young, whatever it's called, of the 9 Knights Dynasty's Ouyang clan and will completely replace you. Ouyang Qian was appalled as she retreated backward in a struggle. Nonetheless, her entire body was weak, and there was no way of resisting. However, the Blood Moon Elder would not let Ouyang Qian escape either. In just 15 minutes, the Blood Moon Elder's body collapsed on the ground while Ouyang Qian rose slowly. The horror on that stunning face had completely disappeared, and what replaced it was an evil smile. Holy Lady, the Ouyang Qian, who stood up, smiled at Yi Qingtang immediately. Very good. Yi Qingtang was extremely satisfied as she stared at the unrivaled beauty that was the Blood Moon Elder. This appearance was much more pleasing to the eye than Zhou Chu's face. The Blood Moon Elder waved his right arm immediately, and black smoke floated in his palms, turning Zhou Chu's body to dust. It's not bad. This body is indeed full of power, the Blood Moon Elder flashed his teeth. Although he was initially resistant, he was relieved when he thought that he could still possess an even stronger male body in the future. Miss Ouyang. As the Blood Moon Elder was familiarizing with his new body, a male in white suddenly barged in. This man in white was the Yuehua sect disciple from that day who adored Ouyang Qian and even hated Yi Qingtang to the core because of that. When the Yuehua sect disciple saw a disheveled Ouyang Qian in a rather messy situation, his face changed immediately, and he looked at Yi Qingtang insidiously. "What are you doing here?" Ouyang Qian said coldly and stared at the Yuehua sect disciple. "Miss Ouyang, I heard some strange noises here just now. I seem to have heard your voice, and I was worried, so I came over to take a look." As the Yuehua sect disciple looked at Ouyang Qian, his manner softened immediately while his tone became gentler as well. Yi Qingtang stood aside, calm and unruffled. A seeming laugh hung on her lips as she looked at that Yuehua sect disciple. She remembered that this Yuehua sect disciple seemed to be interested in Ouyang Qian. "Miss Ouyang, you don't have to worry about anything with me here. If this person dares to bully you, I will definitely tear him into pieces," the Yuehua sect disciple declared coldly as he looked at Ouyang Qian. Ouyang Qian's mouth twitched unconsciously. Glaring at the Yuehua sect disciple with a frown, she shouted, "Get lost!" The Yuehua sect disciple was shocked and thought he heard wrong. "Didn't you hear that? As a sect disciple, you don't even have the slightest ability to make discerning judgments, and you even dared to interrupt Miss Ouyang and me?" Yi Qingtang suddenly took a step forward and snickered coldly. "You?" The Yuehua sect disciple's expression changed and darkened. "You what you? Quickly get lost." Ouyang Qian came forward immediately and kicked that Yuehua sect disciple out. Outside the tent, the Yuehua sect disciple was sorrowful as he looked at the cold Ouyang Qian. "Qian, you promised me before that if I devote myself wholly to you," a shudder ran through the Blood Moon Elder's body immediately. "To hell with devoting myself wholly to you." Chapter 589, Femme Fatale, 1, Forget It. The Blood Moon Elder turned around and returned to the tent. After being chided by someone he adored, the Yuehua sect disciple paled instantly. All his previous anger was gone as he left dejectedly without knowing exactly what happened. As Yi Qingtang watched the Yuehua sect disciple leave, she subsequently turned around and looked at the Blood Moon Elder with a smile. The feeling of being doted on by a man should be pretty good, isn't it? Helplessness filled the Blood Moon Elder. Yi Qingtang walked towards the Blood Moon Elder. She did not joke around anymore and instead informed the Blood Moon Elder everything about Ouyang Qian. The Ouyang family clan of Nine Knights Dynasty was the #1 family clan in Nine Knights Dynasty, and it was not weaker than the supersections. The Ouyang clan had very strong powers and heritage, and it could even compete with the Falling Sky Valley of the Nine Knights Dynasty. Currently, the Blood Moon Elder had possessed Ouyang Qian's body, and this was equivalent to replacing Ouyang Qian. Eventually, he had to return to the Ouyang Qian in the future. Thus, he had to know everything about the Ouyang clan, otherwise, there was a high possibility that he would be exposed. As for Ouyang Qian's background, Yi Qingtang already knew everything clearly from when she interacted with her in her previous life. Ouyang Qian was the daughter that family master Ouyang doted on and spoiled the most. Now that the Blood Moon Elder replaced Ouyang Qian, it would be of great help to Yi Qingtang in the future. After ensuring that the Blood Moon Elder completely remembered everything she said, she finally let him leave. Before he left, Yi Qingtang specially reminded the Blood Moon Elder to return to Ouyang Qian's residence to prevent further suspicion. "I hope that we can leave the hell of Avicinaraka alive." After the Blood Moon Elder left, Yi Qingtang sighed softly. The hell of Avicinaraka was too dangerous, and one could die in it if just a tad careless. If that was really the case, whatever she did would all be pointless. Yi Qingtang did not sleep a wink that night. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, she entered a state of meditation and consolidated her cultivation skills. Currently, Yi Qingtang's martial cultivation level had already reached the peak of the third heaven of martial chi level 2 and was only a half step away from entering martial chi level 3. Although the hell of Avicinaraka was extremely dangerous, it was very beneficial to raising the skills of cultivators. From ancient times to now, the more dangerous a place was, the better it was at stimulating the potential of cultivators. Naturally, the speed of cultivation here could not be compared to that in the external world. Moreover, danger coexisted with crises. The more dangerous a place was, the more destinies there would be. There were definitely many destinies in the hell of Avicinaraka. However, it was unknown who could gain it or even leave this place alive after gaining it. The night was silent. At twilight, the first faint streaks of dawn appeared in the sky. As day broke, a burst of scoldings could be heard outside the tents. Yi Qingtang slowly opened her eyes, rose, and walked out in great strides. Feng Tsong and the rest were already there. After seeing Yi Qingtang, that Yuehua sect disciple shouted furiously and immediately drew out a yellow-grade weapon from his waist. Lin Song, why are you doing this? Feng Tsong asked with a frown when he saw the Yuehua sect disciple's actions. This bastard actually snatched my women. I must kill him today, the Yuehua sect disciple, Lin Song, said coldly as he glared at Yi Qingtang furiously. He thought about it for a long time last night and completely could not accept Ouyang Qian's abrupt change which happened after Yi Qingtang's appearance. As such, he pushed all of the blame onto Yi Qingtang. Chapter 590, Femme Fatale, 2, Yi Qingtang stared at Lin Song and scoffed coldly. Fellow, you don't have the qualifications to compete with me. What did you say? A fierce glint flickered in Lin Song's eyes, and it seemed as though he would behead Yi Qingtang any time. I said that it's you who don't have any abilities. How could Miss Ouyang fancy such trash like you? Yi Qingtang said indifferently. Lin Song's heart boiled with fury, and he clenched his teeth. Bullshit. You have used that illusion stone to bewitch Miss Ouyang. You're just a martial chi level 2 piece of trash. Today, I want you to die an ignominious death. Oh. You can come and try. The corners of Yi Qingtang's lips tugged up slightly and formed into a sinister smile. Lin Song was even more enraged after seeing Yi Qingtang's attitude. He was a dignified Yuehua sect disciple and was at martial chi level 3, yet a martial chi level 2 piece of trash dared to be so arrogant to him. However, before Lin Song could make a move, a beautiful lady in a white dress slowly arrived. A few males from the Ouyang family clan followed behind the girl. Qian. Lin Song's expression changed, and he immediately called Ouyang Qian after seeing her. After hearing this loving call, the Blood Moon Elder who possessed Ouyang Qian's body felt feelings of disgust rile up within him. He frowned and said coldly, "Who allowed you to call me that way? Qian, are you really under the influence of this bastard's illusion stone?" Lin Song gritted his teeth in indignation. "A few days ago, you clearly told me that you have some feelings for me too. But why, yesterday, I already said that you don't have the abilities, but you don't believe me." With a smile, Yi Qingtang walked to the Blood Moon Elder and held onto the Blood Moon Elder's waist with a casual stance. The Blood Moon Elder froze immediately. Without giving Lin Song any time to react, Yi Qingtang caressed Ouyang Qian's delicate face and said gently with a smile, "Qian, do you think that I'm much more powerful than that piece of trash, Lin Song?" The Blood Moon Elder shuddered. Although he knew that his holy lady was a female, Yi Qingtang's disguise skills were really good. No matter how he looked, he could only see a delicately handsome young man. If it were other girls, their hearts would have long been melted should they be treated like this by such a beautiful boy. However, all he wanted now was to die. Obviously, Lin Song could not guess Ouyang Qian's feeling right now and could only watch the intimate action between Yi Qingtang and Ouyang Qian. Grief and indignation filled him, but he could only contain the fury in his heart and look at Ouyang Qian pressingly. "Qian, this cannot be true." "Humph." Ouyang Qian scoffed coldly. Imoyang clan's young miss. How would I take a liking to a piece of trash like you? The person I like is naturally this handsome young sir in front of me. The Blood Moon Elder was aggrieved. What sin had he committed exactly? At that instant, the males from Ouyang clan exchanged a look and were slightly surprised. It can't be that young miss is really interested in that pretty boy, can it? This does not seem to be consistent with young miss' personality, no. You must have been deceived by his illusion stone. Lin Song immediately looked at Yi Qingtang. I want you to die. Then, Lin Song's body moved instantly and charged towards Yi Qingtang rapidly. Noticing the situation, Ouyang Qian immediately waved at the Ouyang clan people. Beat him to death. Chapter 591, Femme Fatale, 3. After they heard their young miss, the expressions of the Ouyang clan men were even stranger. Young Miss Ouyang Qian told them that she fancied that pretty boy's illusion stone, however, that pretty boy did not know what was good for him. That's strange. Young Miss clearly said that she would take that pretty boy's life. Why is it that so suddenly? Could it be that young Miss really fell for that pretty boy? The men from the Ouyang clan were in thought. Why are you all still in a daze? Ouyang Qian shouted at them loudly. One of them immediately cupped his fists at Ouyang Qian and replied. Yes. Afterward, all of them immediately stopped Lin Kong. The scene was a mess in the subsequent hour. Ultimately, Lin Song was beaten up to a pulp by the combined forces of the Ouyang clan men and was flung out. All of the Ouyang clan people were already at martial chi level 3, and although Lin Song was not weak, it was difficult to fight against 4 people by himself, and it was already pretty good that he did not die. Although Feng Song wanted to dissuade them, the Ouyang clan was too powerful, and it was inconvenient for him to cut in. Lin Song was heavily injured, and this small team could only abandon him. After making arrangements for a while, the team continued on their journey. The pressing matter at the moment was to find a sect team. Otherwise, it would be hard to last until the end of the Hell of Avicinaraka just by themselves. This departure lasted another 2 days. 2 days later, everyone arrived at a desert. Look! Feng Song pointed forward with an astonished expression. After hearing him, everyone looked in the direction that Feng Song pointed at. There was a majestic palace miles away which radiated a faint golden ray. That palace is, everyone exchanged a look but could not form a conclusion. Let's take a look, the Blood Moon Elder said eventually. A magnificent palace appeared in the desert. If it was not a place with a huge destiny, then it would be a land of death. There were as many destinies as dangers. Given the Blood Moon Elder's personality, he would naturally want to find out what it was. Holy! Darling Yi, what do you think? The Blood Moon Elder looked at Yi Qingtang with a feigned gentleness and eyes full of gentle tenderness. Can you not call me that? When Yi Qingtang saw Ouyang Qian's gentle eyes, a chill ran down her spine, and disgust rose within her. The Blood Moon Sect Elder. At that instant, the Blood Moon Elder broke down a little internally. It was clearly Holy Lady who warned him repeatedly that night to coordinate with her. He had already thrown his own face away, yet why did Holy Lady despise him now? Was the gentleness that he mastered after a Herculean effort disregarded by his Holy Lady just like that? Darling Yi, the Blood Moon Elder leaned against Yi Qingtang with a face full of smiles. If you call me this again, I may not be able to hold myself back from beating you to death. Yi Qingtang glared at the flirty Blood Moon Elder with a serious expression. Although Ouyang Qian's external appearance was extremely beautiful, the spirit inside was an old man. Yi Qingtang really could not bear an old man calling her darling Yi so bashfully. What did you say? A certain Ouyang male stepped forward immediately and looked at Yi Qingtang. You should be extremely honored that my young miss called you that. Yi Qingtang stared blankly at the male. If this Ouyang male likes this honor, he can receive it then. What has this got to do with you? Get lost. The Blood Moon Elder shouted coldly. Chapter 592, The Palace. 1. The Ouyang clan men were stunned after hearing their young miss words. Young miss, you really like. Before the man could finish his words, the Blood Moon Elder gave him a stare. He had to keep his mouth shut. What's the point of saying all the nonsense when young miss does not care? You are only looking for trouble. Another man of the Ouyang clan smiled and sighed after the first man returned to the crowd. I just feel that based on young miss nature, how would she give her true heart to someone so easily? Maybe she fell for the guy. To be honest, he has quite a good appearance. People of the Ouyang clan all shook their head but did not seem to suspect anything. Feng Tsong and the rest walked forward. He stared at Yi Qingtang and said, Brother Yi, Lady Ouyang, do you think we should take a look at the mysterious palace? A majestic palace suddenly appeared out of nowhere in the desert. There were only two possible outcomes, either there were destinies inside, or it might be the horrifying hell. Feng Tsong did not dare to make the decision as it would affect everyone's safety. Ill listened to him, the Blood Moon Elder looked at Yi Qingtang in a genuine way. Yi Qingtang ignored the loving eyes of the Blood Moon Elder. She frowned and immersed herself in her thoughts. After a short while, Yi Qingtang said, It is more dangerous for us to wander around in the hell of Avicinaraka. The palace can be seen from anywhere within a few kilometers. I guess that there are others from the Nine Knights dynasty and the formidable Heavens dynasty who will go over to the palace since it is so obvious. That's what I think as well. The Blood Moon Elder nodded. The Blood Moon Elder's identity now was the young miss of the Ouyang clan. People of the Ouyang clan could only comply since their young miss agreed. Eventually, Feng Tsong led the rest towards the mysterious palace. The sandstorm in the desert was huge. Sand was curled up by the typhoon and created a sandstorm. It was extremely difficult to walk under such a storm. One would be curled up into the storm and tore into pieces if he was incautious. It took them a couple of hours to walk just a few kilometers. Under the palace. Feng Tsong was amazed by the palace in front of him. The palace was very magnificent. Even the super sect's infrastructure could not be compared with the palace. The ancient style did not seem to be a product of this century. Ha 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 ha! Suddenly, a burst of crazy laughter came out of the palace. A huge head flew out of the palace the moment the laughter was heard. The head landed in front of Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder. Everyone's face changed when they saw the head. Even Yi Qingtang's eyes flickered. The head belonged to an elder. From the wound, it seemed to be chopped off by a sharp weapon. However, the elder's face had a strange smile. He is, one of the super sect disciples shouted after seeing the head clearly. The great elder of the Yuehua sect. What? Feng Tsong and a few others were totally shocked after hearing that. The great elder's martial ability was just below the Yuehua sect master, yet his head was chopped off by someone at this place. Don't kill me. Why did you do this? Chapter 593, The Palace. 2. Before Yi Qingtang could figure out what was going on, a horrifying voice came out from the mysterious palace. A large amount of blood spurted out of the palace's ground at the same time when the scream was heard. The blood-red color filled everyone's eyes. Whiz! A blood-colored shadow flew out of the palace suddenly. Before Yi Qingtang and the rest could realize what just happened, the shadow landed in front of them. Help, help, help me, a weak and desperate voice was heard. The blood-colored shadow that landed in front of them was half of the body of a woman. The woman was pretty, but her black hair was dyed red in the blood. The woman only had the top half of her body. Her face was as pale as a sheet of paper. She dragged her body towards Yi Qingtang and the rest in despair with her hands. As the woman moved inch by inch, sharp blood scars were left on the ground from her broken body. The woman lay flat on the ground after moving a few meters. She died out of breath, and the blood dyed the entire ground under her body red. Feng Tsong and the rest of the 10 people were shocked. Their faces were pale as they stared at the woman with only half of her body. They had witnessed such a horrifying scene before they even entered the palace. It was totally impossible that the palace offered destinies. It must be a hell. Young miss. I think we should leave this place now. One of the Ouyang clan men had an extremely unpleasant expression. As cultivators, they were not afraid of death in a real fight, but they were scared of death from unknown causes. Feng Tsong and a few others also had the feeling to escape. They did not want to remain at this place and definitely did not want to enter the palace. The Blood Moon Elder looked at Yi Qingtang immediately. He did not want to stay at this place anymore, but he needed to wait for Yi Qingtang's command. Leave. Yi Qingtang did not hesitate and was about to turn and leave. Even the great elder of Yuehua sect died here. No one knew what was waiting for them inside the palace. Once they entered, they would most likely die. However, when everyone was just about to retreat, a thunder-like roar arose in front of them and spread out to their surroundings. A large amount of sand suddenly condensed from the endless desert and became a demonic monster in front of everyone. The demonic monster was formed by sand and was a few hundred meters tall. It was like an evil demon in the desert. Its body covered the sky and the sun, and it was surrounded by a sinister aura. A huge storm was formed from its roar. Its eyes seemed to be able to enchant humans. One stare would result in falling into hell with no return. What the hell? One of the sect disciples cursed after seeing the monster. How could they move around with such a monster blocking their way? This is a demonic monster formed from resentment. The Blood Moon Elder frowned and was deep in thought as he looked towards the demonic monster. The so-called resentment was present in all living creatures. When they were alive, they were buried with huge resentment, and after their death, that resentment might morph into evil spirits. Now, Yi Qingtang had to walk towards the palace as there was no way to retreat. Chapter 594, The Palace, 3. Though the palace was full of danger, there was at least hope that they could survive. If they did not enter the palace and fought against the demonic monster born from resentment, there was no chance that they would survive. Yi Qingtang estimated that the demonic monster was at least at the third heaven of martial chi level 3. Unless the big figures of the super sects were the ones who took action, others who wanted to fight against it would face the consequence of death. Are you sure that we are going to enter the palace? A sect disciple was still frightened by the scene he saw just now. He was not willing to step into the palace at all. If you're not willing to go in, feel free to stay outside and fight the demonic monster. Yi Qingtang scanned through the person coldly. You, the sect disciple gritted his teeth but sighed eventually. Yi Qingtang's words were very straightforward, but they were true. That sect disciple was not stupid. It was obvious that they would lose even if all of them combined their forces to fight the demonic beast. Based on their current situation, there was no other choice besides entering the mysterious palace that was full of danger. Yi Qingtang dashed into the palace first. Others did not hesitate and followed her path to enter the unknown palace. Yi Qingtang stopped for a second after entering the palace. She turned over and looked towards the desert. The huge demonic monster was just staring at them from afar. It did not have the intention to enter the palace. However, Yi Qingtang felt more disturbed. Who are you? A roar came from the palace suddenly. Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder looked towards the direction where the sound came from. There were around 60 to 70 people standing in the hall of the palace. Besides people from the normal sects, there were powerful people from Yunshao sect, Lingyun sect, and other super sections. We are sect disciples. Yi Qingtang replied calmly. The starting of the 100-level peril hell of Avicinaraka was beyond everyone's expectations. The conflicts between the two dynasties were set aside for now. Leaving the hell of Avicinaraka alive was the key focus for everyone. Any conflicts and resentment could only be present if they were alive. If they were a cluster of bones, nothing would be left. Everyone here understood that. People in the hall sized up Yi Qingtang and the team but did not say anything. Im Feng Tsong, disciple of the Falling Sky Valley. May I know what happened here? Feng Tsong stepped forward and asked one super sect disciple. We're not sure as well. People from different sects were all separated when we entered the mystic realm. We met these people along the way, and we entered the palace when we were walking in the desert to seek for possible treasures. However, the moment we entered, the Yuehua sect master killed his own great elder and a few disciples. The young man was very anxious and disturbed. Yuehua sect master. Everyone was shocked when they heard that. They thought that there was a powerful creature in the palace from the bloody scene they witnessed outside. However, the Yuehua sect master was the one who murdered others. The ability of a super sect master too powerful to imagine. If people like him started attacking and killing others, the consequences would be too dreadful to think of. Chapter 595, Save People, 1. Where is the Yuehua sect master now? Yi Qingtang felt that something was odd. The two people that died outside the palace were the Yuehua sect elder and disciple. Why would the Yuehua sect master murder them? They are in the second palace. The young man pointed forward and explained. The second palace was separated by a door. The Yuehua sect master entered the mysterious palace first as he thought that there were destinies inside. After checking through the place and realizing that there was no treasure inside, he then led his sect disciples into the second palace. However, just when they entered, the Yuehua sect master suddenly chopped off the great elder's head and the top half of the body of one of the female disciples. The rest were shocked after seeing this. They totally did not understand why the Yuehua sect master would suddenly be murderous. They had to close the door to the second palace to prevent him from killing others outside. Open the door. Let us out, bastard. Open the door now. Arr! Screams came out of the second palace. People outside could even hear the banging sound on the silver door as those inside were trying to return to the first palace. Yi Qingtang was slightly astonished. Apparently, besides the Yuehua sect master who was trapped inside the second palace, there were others who did not escape on time. Humph! One of the Yunshao sect elders scorned. We will get into trouble as well if we open the door. How ridiculous it is. Everyone chose to remain silent though the screams and the banging sounds that were coming out constantly. No one dared to help them. Their abilities could not be compared with the Yuehua sect masters. If they opened the door, they would suffer as well. Yi Qingtang thought for a while and then walked forward directly. It seemed that she wanted to open the door. Everyone was stunned after seeing this. The Yunshao sect elder took a leap and landed in front of Yi Qingtang. He shouted angrily. What do you want? Yi Qingtang took a glimpse at the Yunshao sect elder and said coldly, of course, I'm trying to save people. Save people? If you want to die, I will not stop you. However, I will not let you open the door. The Yuehua sect master is crazy now. If he comes out, we will all die as a result of your action. The Yunshao sect elder sneered. Guys, there was a demonic monster guarding the palace outside. No one can leave this place alive. Though the door here is made of cold iron, based on the Yuehua sect master's ability, you think the door can trap him? Yi Qingtang did not bother to reply the Yunshao sect elder. She looked at the rest in the palace and explained. Once the Yuehua sect master kills everyone inside the second palace, he will definitely break through the door. If I open the door now and save one person, we will have another ally. If we fail to save one person, we lose one ally. There are 10 of us here, so why are we still afraid of the Yuehua sect master alone? However, if he kills everyone inside, we will be the ones who lose. Yi Qingtang continued to explain as she saw the silence in the palace. Yi Qingtang's words made everyone think deeply. They had seen too many friends die in front of their eyes since they entered the hell of Avicinaraka. They were only a step away from death in every danger they encountered. Even now, no one dared to promise that they could leave this place alone. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.